Chapter 10:20. Just as he was about to lose himself in the novel he was reading, the servant suddenly came in. He felt that he was looking for a novel, but he didn't expect that he would lose himself in it. "Madam, Miss Mu Firen is here to visit." Hearing that Mu Firen was here, Lin Che asked the servant to bring her in gratefully. Mu Firen came in and saw Lin Che leaning against the recliner. Because they were family, Lin Che was too lazy to get up. He waved at her and said, "Come here and have a seat. What brings you here?" Mu Firen sat down with a smile and looked at Lin Che. "You're so comfortable." Lin Che said, "I don't feel like moving." Mu Firen tucked the blanket around her. "Isn't it like this when you're pregnant?" When she first found out that she was pregnant, she was like this too. Mu Firen thought that it was magical. She was just too lazy to move and liked to sleep. At that time she never thought that she would be pregnant. But now she was really pregnant. Lin Che said, "You seem to be very tired without doing anything." "Oh yeah, is there something you need from me?" Under normal circumstances she would have talked to Lin Che on the phone. Because she knew that the Gu family was very strict, she didn't want to cause trouble. Mu Firen sat down and looked at Lin Che with a faint smile. Her eyes looked as if she was ready. "Lin Che, it's like this. I've been thinking about it for the past few days and I've decided I'm going to make a comeback in the entertainment industry." Lin Che sat up straight with joy and looked at Mu Firen. "Really?" Mu Firen looked at him and nodded. "I've thought about it." Lin Che had thought about it for a long time. She was so outstanding and had so many good works. It was a pity that she suddenly stopped acting. So many fans had been looking forward to seeing her act again for so many years. But because of Mo Ding's matter, she had always hated the entertainment industry and refused to come back. Now that she had thought about it and wanted to come back, did it mean that Mo Ding's matter no longer had such a big impact on her? Lin Che said, "Of course." Mu Firen said, "I don't want to be an actress anymore and I don't want to be as tired as I used to be. I just want to act in something that I like. That's enough." Mu Firen just wanted to have some representative works at the end so that when she was old she could look back and say to herself that she had tried her best when she was young. Although she appeared in many popular TV dramas and movies, most of those commercial works couldn't stand the scrutiny of time. She wanted to act in something that could really move people. It wasn't that commercial movies weren't good. Movies that provided entertainment and made people happy were good works. However, people's pursuits were different at every stage of life. She had a lot of works that made people happy. Now she hoped to shoot something that would make people reminisce. Lin Che said, "Yeah, no one will force you to act in something you don't like anymore. You can act in whatever you want, really." Mu Firen looked at Lin Che and said, "If I sign with another company, I might not be able to control myself. So I think it's better to sign with your company. What do you think?" Lin Che looked at her in surprise. "I'm just a studio. I don't have as many resources as a big company." Lin Che's small company only had a few people. She was really afraid that Mu Firen would suffer. Mu Firen shook her head. "I also want to work and fight with you." Lin Che said, "Oh my, I think if I were the boss, I wouldn't be able to resist making money from you, huh?" Mu Firen glared at him, knowing that he wasn't that kind of person. She said, Yes. I'm willing to make money for you." Lin Che laughed enough. He looked at her and said, "Then have you really decided to come to my studio?" "Yeah." Lin Che hugged Mu Firen and kissed her. "That's great. I'll ask someone to prepare first. I think my employees will be very excited when they know that Heavenly Queen Mu Firen thinks highly of our small company and is going to sign with us." "What Heavenly Queen? I'm no different from a newcomer now. I haven't acted in movies for so many years that I've forgotten what it's like to be in the entertainment industry." As the two chatted and laughed, Lin Che called the company's staff and told them about this. Since they were going to sign a contract, they had to get it done first. But because Mu Firen trusted Lin Che, she let Lin Che do everything. Lin Che wouldn't cheat his own people, so he just asked them to sign the simplest contract. Mu Firen had absolute autonomy. The company would arrange an agent and other personnel for her, and she wouldn't have to give the company much of the profits. No one in the company was dissatisfied. Mu Firen was not only the boss's good friend, but she was also a golden brand. With her name on the list, the company would get a lot of resources. So it wouldn't be a loss to sign Mu Firen. Mu Firen felt very relaxed after making the decision. Everything was a new beginning. She felt that coming out this time was like being reborn. Everything in front of her was bright. It wasn't worth it for Mo Ding to be dispirited for so many years. One day Mu Firen went to Lin Che's studio to sign the contract. Lin Che had been reading novels for a long time, so he didn't follow her. Mu Firen didn't need him to follow her. Everyone in the company knew her anyway. As soon as Mu Firen arrived at the company, someone came to receive her. The people in the company were very nice. They were very excited to see Mu Firen from afar. They didn't expect that Mu Firen would sign the contract. Many of them had liked Mu Firen before and now they were going to work with her. They couldn't help but feel excited. Mu Firen felt a little embarrassed when she saw everyone's enthusiasm. She hadn't been in contact with fans or this circle for a long time, so she was a little scared. When she was about to go out, she realized that it was already late, but she hadn't picked up Yun Yun yet. Although the kindergarten wouldn't do anything to Yun Yun because she was late, she still wanted to pick her up as soon as possible. She felt sorry for Yun Yun when she saw other children being picked up by their parents, but she didn't have a mother to pick her up. Mu Firen rushed to the kindergarten, but before she arrived she received a call from the kindergarten. "Miss Mu, your daughter has just been picked up. You don't have to rush here." Mu Firen said in surprise. "Picked up? How is that possible? Who picked her up?" "Don't worry. Mr. Mo picked her up." Everyone in kindergarten knew that Yun Yun had a super handsome Uncle Mo. Therefore when she first saw Mo Jinyan she looked infatuated and sounded very excited. Mu Firen, who was on the other end of the phone, could clearly hear the difference in her voice. She didn't know that Mo Jinyan was so charming. Chapter 10:21. The kindergarten had left 2 contacts for Yun Yun. One was Mu Firen and the other was Mo Jinyan. Now in order to see Mo Jinyan, the first call the kindergarten teachers made was not to Mu Firen, but to Mo Jinyan. When Mu Firen heard that it was Mo Jinyan who picked her up, she was not so worried anymore. Just then Mo Jinyan called her. Mu Firen picked up the phone. Thinking of Mo Jinyan, she felt that he had somehow become Yun Yun's guardian. She couldn't help but blush. Blindly thinking, what exactly was she thinking? Thinking of Mo Jinyan, what was there to blush about? She picked up the phone and heard Mo Jinyan say, "Yun Yun is with me. Don't worry." Mu Firen said, "Oh, the kindergarten just called me." "Well, that's good. The kindergarten called me and I thought you were busy so I went to pick you up." "Okay, where are you now?" "At KFC." "What?" "Yun Yun wants to eat KFC so I brought her to eat." Mu Firen was speechless. This Yun Yun. She put down the phone and thought about it. It was strange. She didn't know when it started, but when she and Mo Jinyan talked, they didn't need to use that fake form of address anymore. They could directly talk about the matter. Was it that familiar? There didn't seem to be any. But now he picked Yun Yun up and went to KFC. She didn't think there was anything wrong with it and just took it for granted. In fact, Yun Yun had been wanting to eat at KFC for a long time. However, after Mu Firen returned to China, even if she went out she might not have to hide from people as before, but there would always be people who recognized her. Therefore she didn't want to go to crowded places, not to mention KFC, which was not nutritious. Soon they arrived at the KFC that Mo Jinyan mentioned. She saw Mo Jinyan as soon as she entered. Yun Yun was happily eating chicken wings. When she saw Mu Firen she immediately stood up and said worriedly, "Mom, Uncle Mo said it's okay to eat occasionally." Mu Firen didn't know whether to laugh or cry when she saw Yun Yun looking at her like a misbehaving child looking at her teacher. She walked over and said, "Yun Yun, what's wrong? Mommy didn't say that you can't eat. Just eat less. If you eat too much you won't be able to grow taller." Mo Jinyan looked at Mu Firen and said, "Yeah, it should be fine to eat it occasionally, right?" Mu Firen said, "Of course it doesn't matter. I'm not a ghost. Why do you look so scary when you see me?" Mo Jinyan looked at her and said, "Yeah, if such a beautiful ghost existed in this world, then the people who wanted to see it would have to line up." Pretty? Was he complimenting her looks? Mu Firen immediately blushed. However, Mo Jinyan simply stared at her face, smiled and lowered his head to drink his coffee. Mu Firen blushed and turned her head to hide the embarrassment on her face. There were plenty of people who complimented her looks, but for some reason when these words came out of his mouth it felt different. Perhaps it was because he was a black hawk. Did he feel that this kind of praise didn't match his appearance? Mo Jinyan said, "Do you want to eat something?" Mu Firen sat down. She saw Imogenien pick up something and pass it to her. She didn't expect that a person who looked so dull actually had such a meticulous side. She could see the details of his actions very clearly because girls were naturally very meticulous. Moreover, as a student of acting, she was especially well versed in the details of expressions and movements. She watched as he wiped his hands, wrapped the hamburger in a clean paper and passed it to her. She also watched as he immediately went to order a new drink and a few snacks that girls like to eat. He attentively placed the items in front of her and arranged them neatly. Although they were all small things, they made her feel very warm. The feeling of being taken care of made her heart feel warm. Imogenien said, "Have you signed the contract?" "Yeah, it's Lin Che's company anyway. You can ask me for anything." Imogenien said, "Yeah, if there's anything you can tell Lin Che or me. It's not a big deal. Lin Che has already thought it through. I don't need to say much for him to understand what I mean." Imogenien said, "That's true. After all, she's my sister. I know my sister. She won't bully you. Not to mention anything else, the people in my family are very straightforward." "Ah, is that so?" She looked at him with a smile. If he hadn't mentioned it, Mu Firen wouldn't have felt that he and Lin Che were siblings. Imogenien said, "Of course." That smug look on his face really made him feel like an older brother. Mu Firen felt that since he was so considerate and attentive, she would definitely be very happy to be his sister. However, at this moment, suddenly someone noticed Mu Firen. "Hey, isn't that Mu Firen?" "Really? It can't be. Didn't she go overseas?" "That's her. How can it not be? She's the same as on TV. She hasn't changed much in private." Mu Firen was stunned. She didn't expect those people to start discussing loudly, regardless of whether they could hear them or not. At this time, many people in the KFC who were originally crowded suddenly turned their heads and looked at it carefully. Before Mu Firen could react, someone walked over excitedly. "Mu Firen, I really like you. I've been your hardcore fan for 8 years. Can you give me an autograph? I'm really surprised to see you here." At this moment, the situation was out of control. Many people rushed over. "Mu Firen? Is it really Mu Firen?" Mu Firen said hurriedly, "No, let's go." A while ago, when the news of the divorce came out, she appeared in front of the public again. Therefore, these few days it was more difficult for her to go out than before. Imogenien carried Yunyun in his arms first. Mu Firen wanted to let Yunyun go first. However, at this moment, Imogenien suddenly put Yunyun on his shoulder and held her with one hand. Then he pulled Mu Firen to his chest with the other hand, supporting and protecting her. Mu Firen could feel that when someone came over, his chest pressed closer to her. He also asked the people next to him to stay away from her. He just protected her and walked forward carefully. The little touch transmitted heat and brought a sense of security, which made Mu Firen blush slightly again. Chapter 10:22. Mu Firen could feel that his body temperature was different from hers. He carefully protected her, and even though there were so many people around, he didn't let anyone touch her body. When they were outside, Imogenien said, "My car is over there." Mu Firen hurriedly walked to the side, but Imogenien grabbed her hand. Mu Firen trembled. She felt the roughness in her palm. She could almost feel the calluses on his large hands. They were crisscrossed. Looked like he used them often, so they were badly worn. But it didn't feel bad. On the contrary, it reminded her of her father's large palms, giving her an inexplicable sense of security. She turned to look at him, a trace of shyness on her face. Imogenien said, "Why didn't you look after the car? What if you hit it?" She was pulled to the back of the road and saw that there was indeed a car in front of them. She was so flustered that she didn't notice it. She turned to look at the man, feeling like a child being taken care of. Soon they reached the car. Mu Firen heaved a sigh of relief. She saw that there was a baby safety seat in the car. It seemed to have been prepared in advance. It was for Yunyun. She turned back to look at Imogenien. He was so meticulous that he had specially installed a safety seat for Yunyun. This. She pointed at the safety seat. He put Yunyun down from his shoulder. It seemed that Yunyun hadn't had enough of sitting. She looked at Imogenien with a face full of joy. This Yunyun was really treating Imogenien as one of her own. She didn't know who Imogenien was. Mu Firen thought that Yunyun would sit on Imogenien's shoulder for no reason. If people knew that she was sitting on He Ying's neck, they would be scared to death. But children didn't think that much. Yun Yun was so innocent that she wouldn't understand what it meant even if she knew. In front of Yun Yun, Emo Jinyan didn't seem like someone like He Ying at all. Instead, he was a very meticulous Uncle Emo, giving people a sense of security. Emo Jinyan looked at the safety seat and said, I got someone to install one to pick Yun Yun up. So troublesome. It's okay. I just asked someone to buy one. He put Yun Yun on the table. I heard that it's safer to put it on the table. Yeah, everyone who has a baby will get one. You are so considerate, Mu Firen said. Emo Jinyan laughed. She thought he looked good when he smiled. Furthermore, ever since he and Lin Che were blood-related siblings, she had indeed seen many similarities between the two of them. For example, when they smiled, the arc of their eyes was the same and they were both so good-looking. However, Black Hawk rarely smiled. Even when he did, it was just a curl of his lips. In the car, Emo Jinyan had Yun Yun sit at the back and said, Leave your car here for now. I'll get someone to drive it back for you later. Let's go back first. Hey, I'll listen to you, Mu Firen said. Soon he arrived home. Mu Firen went to get something to eat while Yun Yun and Emo Jinyan played outside. Yun Yun had already eaten a lot. She just needed to make some simple food. Mu Firen was done. When she went out, she saw Emo Jinyan holding Yun Yun in his arms. Yun Yun had fallen asleep in his arms. Emo Jinyan carried her carefully. He didn't look very skilled, but he tried his best not to disturb Yun Yun. Mu Firen quickly put down the food and looked at the two of them. Why did she fall asleep? Emo Jinyan said softly, she was probably tired from playing. She just sat there and closed her eyes. She's rarely so crazy. She's always been too sensible, so sensible that it's worrying. Mu Firen smiled and walked over. I'll take her to bed to rest. It's okay. I'll carry her. Emo Jinyan carried her, walked inside and put her down on the small bed. Mu Firen brought over the porridge she had just made for him. He was looking at the child when he turned around. Unexpectedly, he bumped into Mu Firen's bowl of porridge. The bowl of porridge was completely emptied and fell on him. Mu Firen was stunned. She looked at him apologetically and didn't know what to do. It looked like his clothes couldn't be worn anymore. They were sticky and ugly. She quickly said, Oh no, what should we do? Let me get you something to wipe. She took a piece of tissue from the side and wiped him over and over again, but it still wouldn't be clean. She wiped from top to bottom. She squatted on the ground and wiped quickly. After using half a box of tissue, she still couldn't do it. Mu Firen was a little anxious. She didn't know what to do. Okay, it's okay if you don't need to wipe, Emo Jinyan said. It's just porridge. I'll go wash up. All right. There's a bathroom here. Go wash up. I'll get a hairdryer to dry you. Okay. Emo Jinyan was brought to the bathroom. After he went in, he turned on the water and started washing. Mu Firen was still feeling melancholy outside. He came to play with Yun Yun, but she had messed up his clothes. Really? She scolded herself for being so stupid. She quickly found a towel and a hairdryer and entered the bathroom. Let me dry you. She walked in and looked up. Unexpectedly, the first thing she saw was Emo Jinyan's strong body. He had taken off his shirt and was standing there, naked, washing his clothes. Mu Firen froze. But she couldn't help but look back and forth at his muscular body. Apart from his muscles, there were all kinds of scars on his body. It was a ghastly sight. She couldn't imagine what he had been through all these years. At this moment, Emo Jinyan raised his eyebrows and asked, What's wrong? He looked down at himself and asked, Is there something wrong? Mu Firen quickly lowered her head and scolded herself. How could she stare at him like that? But she didn't expect him to take off his clothes in the bathroom. Mu Firen said, No, nothing. I thought that I'd just wash that little bit, then use a towel to dry it and use a hairdryer to dry it. Who knew that he would wash it all? Emo Jinyan then realized that he didn't know what she meant. But now he had already washed it. What should he do? After that, Mu Firen continued to blow-dry his clothes for him, because he really couldn't fit into the clothes at home. Her clothes were too small and his shoulders were too wide. He couldn't fit into them at all. So he walked around outside naked. Every time Mu Firen saw his perfect figure, she would blush. But she couldn't help but look. Oh my God, how could he do this in someone else's house? At this moment, the doorbell rang. It's me. Open the door. It was Lin Che. Chapter 1023. Mufirin was dumbfounded. Then she looked at the man inside and wondered. Where could he hide such a big man? Lin Che came to discuss the contract with Mufirin. She had nothing to do at home, so she came to see what Mufirin was going to do. She had been reading online novels for a long time and found some interesting ones. She wanted to make them into a TV series, but she didn't know if Mufirin was willing to do it. So she came to see if Mufirin was willing to do it. Unexpectedly, the door was closed and no one answered. She had to ring the doorbell. However, this wasn't the most surprising thing. While she was still outside, she saw the naked black eagle inside. No, he was naked. No, he wasn't wearing a shirt. What an eyesore. Although he was her biological brother, it was still weird to see someone shirtless in Mufirin's home. Who is that? Lin Che screamed. Mufirin was at a loss. Inside, Haiying was speechless. Seeing Mufirin standing there in a daze with her face as red as a ripe persimmon, he had no choice but to open the door. Standing there, he rolled his eyes at Lin Che, who suddenly ran in without greeting him. Pointing at Haiying, Lin Che was so shocked that she couldn't speak. Then she shouted, "Wow, what are you doing?" "You too?" She was incoherent and felt like a husband caught in the act of adultery. Yes, why was her Firin taken away by her brother without saying a word? Haiying said, "Are you coming in or not?" Lin Che blinked his eyes. Only then did he react and he hurriedly entered. "What are you guys doing?" Lin Che shouted hastily when he saw Mufirin looking confused. Mufirin said hurriedly, "Don't get me wrong. Mr. Mo's clothes suddenly got wet, so I gave him." Okay, you don't have to explain." Lin Che looked at the two of them and thought it was nothing. She knew that Mufirin didn't hate Haiying and she knew that Haiying had a purpose for Mufirin. But she didn't expect them to develop so quickly. Haiying was indeed powerful. She snorted and looked at Haiying. "Not bad. When did you do it? Why didn't I know?" Black Eagle put his hands on his waist, showing off his slim waistline. Humph, but not as good-looking as her Gujingzi. It was so rough, not as exquisite as Gujingzi's. Mufirin's face turned red again. She turned to look at Black Hawk, walked over and pulled Lin Che inside. Hey, what are you doing? Don't treat a pregnant woman like this." Lin Che shouted as he was pulled in. She looked at Mufirin with a smile and a look of admiration. Mufirin was really afraid of her now. She quickly said, "Ancestor, it's really not what you see. I accidentally spilled porridge on him, so I had to wash his clothes. I don't have any men's clothes here, so he had to make do with it." No need. You don't need to explain, I understand. It's love and you're both single." Lin Che waved his hand and said, "What love? Could it be dry wood blazing fire? You're not." Mufirin stomped her feet in anger. Lin Che was already convulsing with laughter. Mufirin knew that she liked to tease her, so she glared at her and said, "He really just came to see Yunyun off and I wanted to cook something for him. How is that possible?" "It's impossible for us." Lin Che looked at Mufirin and felt that she was too unconfident. "Why is it impossible?" "I think it's very possible." "How is it possible?" Mufirin said, "He has a high status and I'm just a small entertainer with a child." Lin Che held Mufirin in his arms. "Silly if you say so. What about me and Gujingzi? At least you don't have someone else's child, right? If there's really something going on between us, what would others say about Yunyun? What would they say about him? And, doesn't he really mind? With his status, he can totally find a girl with a clean family and no past." Mufirin had never felt that Yunyun was a burden to her. She was willing to accompany Yunyun, but she had to care about other people's opinions. If others slandered Yunyun because of this and said that Yunyun was a burden, she would definitely not tolerate it. Therefore, whenever she felt that Haiying was really nice to her, she would wonder if he had feelings for her. But then she would wonder why he liked her. She didn't want to show the wrong feelings, so she didn't let herself think too much. Lin Che sighed and looked at Mufirin. "Firin, yes, with his status he can find a fairy-like woman, but is it useful? A woman who loves him must love him. If he doesn't have feelings for her, a fairy-like woman is useless. With his status he can choose to find a woman he likes or a fairy-like woman. If it's me, I think it's better to find a woman I like. As long as I like her, no matter what others say, he can crush them with his status. Am I right?" Mufirin chuckled. "Really? Of course. He's my brother. Of course I know him." Mufirin laughed even louder. You're really treating him more and more like a brother now. Lin Che said, I'm talking about you. Why did you bring me into this? Anyway, if it's me, I'll do the same. If I have the power, I'll crush them with my power. I know Hei Ying will do the same because we're the same kind of people. Mu Firen sighed. But we're really fine now. Our clothes are wet and we have no clothes to wear, so he can only walk like this for a while. Mu Firen said with an apologetic look. Lin Che, on the other hand, looked shrewd at this moment. She raised her eyebrows. Oh, so he has been standing outside until now? Yes. Hee. Lin Che glanced outside and said, Firen, you're really smart but muddle-headed at this moment. What? Mu Firen looked at him suspiciously, wondering how she was muddle-headed. Lin Che said, with his status he has so many people around him. He can ask one of them to fetch a piece of clothing and it will be delivered in minutes. Besides, there are many people who will rush to deliver it. Mu Firen had been anxious just now and didn't think of this. Now that she said it, sure enough, that was Hei Ying. He wasn't an ordinary person who had to wait awkwardly without a piece of clothing. Then what was he doing now? Was he showing off his figure in her house? Even though his figure was quite good. Lin Che put his arms around Mu Firen. Now you know Hei Ying. His purpose is not pure. Mu Firen blushed again, but her heart couldn't stop pounding. Chapter 1024. Lin Che and Mu Firen walked out. Lin Che looked at Black Eagle with a smile. His eyes showed that his evil intentions had been discovered. Black Eagle said, Why are you here? Aren't you leaving? Lin Che said, I'm here to talk business, okay? You should be the one leaving. Black Eagle said, I don't have any clothes. Lin Che opened the door and said to the people outside, Go and find some clothes for Mr. Amo. The people outside immediately went to find clothes. They were so resourceful that they didn't even need to ask for the size. Black Eagle stood there with anger and helplessness on his face. Lin Che must be here to set him up. Sure enough, as Lin Che said, Mu Firen saw that in 10 minutes he found a new set of clothes for Black Eagle. Mu Firen blushed, lowered her head, clenched her fists and coughed, not daring to look at Black Eagle. Black Hawk took the clothes, looked at his sister, snorted, stomped his feet and walked away. Lin Che laughed so hard that he felt like he was going to lose his breath. Mu Firen lost her temper because of Lin Che. She looked at Lin Che and thought that she was Black Eagle's biological sister. Otherwise, Black Eagle would have thrown her out. It was so shameful. How many people dared to tease Black Eagle like this? Mu Firen looked at Lin Che. You said you came here for business? Then tell me, what is it? Let's talk inside. Lin Che and Mu Firen entered together. I read a novel yesterday. It's a web novel. It's about a person who transmigrates to ancient times. It's the kind of story where he transmigrates over and over again. It's very funny. I think it can be changed into a short comedy. It'll be very fun. Then you. Mu Firen guessed something and looked at him. You want me to do it? Lin Che said, I just thought of you first, so I came over to ask if you'd like to act in it. But you've never acted in a short drama like this before because it's very degrading. I also think that maybe it's too different from your image in the past. I just feel that this novel is so amusing that it made me cry. I think that if it were to be filmed, it would definitely be hilarious. Mu Firen said, Really? Let me take a look. Lin Che said, In any case, if you don't want to do it, do you have any good suggestions? Who can do it and introduce me to them? I think it's really fun. Mu Firen looked at him. In the past, because she cared about her image, she had indeed acted in some very serious dramas. She had acted in all kinds of humorous and funny movies, but Mo Ding had never allowed her to take on any of them because he felt that they were different from her. Mu Firen said, Is this what your film company wants to do? It's just that I suddenly thought of something. I feel that the recent movies and dramas are so gloomy. Everyone still needs some joy, but I haven't told anyone yet. Mu Firen said, Well, I'll read the novel first. Actually, I don't mind acting in this role. I've never acted in this kind of role before and I want to try it. However, I'm afraid that I won't be able to express this style because I've never acted in this role before. What should I do? I'm so old. What do you mean by so old? Lin Che pinched her flesh. Your face is still full of collagen. Mu Firen laughed and said to her, Then I'll go back and have a look. Okay, then I'll go back first. I drove some people away. I don't know if you'll blame me for it. Damn you. You're still so bad when you're pregnant. This is called proper prenatal education. You haven't seen if the baby is a boy or a girl, right? Yeah, I can't see it until the month is up. But I can only accept it no matter if it's a boy or a girl. I hope it won't be a boy or a girl. Lin Che said goodbye to Mu Firen. When she got home, Gu Jingze was still not back. After all, she was a little worried at home alone, so she sat there and thought for a while. Then she decided to go out and ask Dongzi, "Is there anything we can find out about the old mansion?" Dongzi shook his head. "We only know that Sir hasn't come out for a day. We guessed that there must be some problems after the operation. But since Sir didn't inform us, it shouldn't be a big problem. Miss, what are you going to do?" Lin Che thought for a while and said, "Send someone to check it out first. If it's not a big problem, we'll go and have a look." "Yes, Mississippi." Dongzi sent someone to inquire about it. It was said that there was no big movement. It seemed that there shouldn't be a big problem. After the person who replied, Lin Che went straight to the Gu family's old mansion. The Gu family's old mansion seemed very peaceful today. It was so peaceful that people felt it was even more peaceful than before. After entering the door, everyone hurriedly bowed to Lin Che when they saw that she had actually come. "Madam, you're here." "Madam, you didn't tell us that you were coming. We were just eating and didn't prepare any supplements for you." "No need, I've already eaten. I just came to take a look," Lin Che said. Under the cover of the night, the servants welcomed her inside. Before she entered the door, she heard a lot of laughter inside. It didn't sound like anything was wrong at all. Some women were gathered together and chatting. Someone saw that Lin Che had come and hurriedly opened the door for her. However, their expressions were somewhat different. Lin Che noticed these strange expressions and felt a little strange for a moment. The door was pushed open. "Madam is here," someone said. Someone said. Everyone's laughter didn't end, but they all turned to look at him. Lin Che noticed at a glance that there was a girl sitting in the middle. She was extraordinarily elegant. She raised her head slightly. She was wearing a light yellow dress with a little fur collar. Her long legs were crossed and her high heels were placed diagonally. Although she looked elegant, she didn't seem to be showing off at all. She gave off a natural vibe and made people feel that she was very decent. For some reason, Lin Che thought of someone first. Shui Baochai. She was a person who was adorned with jewels, yet appeared very fresh. Lin Che was wondering who it was when everyone laughed and said, "Madame Gu is here." Lin Che said, "Everyone continue chatting. Don't worry about me." The girl, who looked very decent, suddenly stood up. Looking in Lin Che's direction, she smiled and said, "Hello, cousin-in-law. This is the first time we've met. I just arrived in B City today and haven't seen you before. I didn't know that cousin was holding a wedding, so I didn't come back to see you. It's only when I came back that I heard that the child is already very big. It's really my fault." "Cousin-in-law? Was she Gu Jing's cousin?" Lin Che said, "Oh, hello. Then was she Mu Wanqing's niece?" Because of Mu Wanqing, Lin Che naturally smiled at her. "Are you mom's niece?" Lin Che asked with a smile. However, she said, "Ah, that's not it. I'm a more distant relative. I'm from the late Grandma Gu's side." So that was how it was. Chapter 1025. Lin Che smiled again. She was so far away that she might not be familiar with the place, so he said, "Sorry, I married into the family, so I don't know as much as the relatives who have lived in the Gu family for a long time." The girl revealed her white teeth with a little bit of canine teeth. When she smiled, she looked very amiable. Her teeth were just enough to reveal a standard smile. "My name is Shui Mingqi. You can call me Mingqi." "Hello." She pointed inside and said, "Cousin-in-law, auntie is inside. If you want to find her, you can go in and have a look." "Okay, thank you," Lin Che said politely. He looked at her and walked in. Behind him, everyone was still laughing and chatting as if they were very familiar with Shui Mingqi. However, before Lin Che entered, he heard someone calling out to him, saying that the teacher was here. It was Gu Jingze who had heard the news. He did not know when he found out, but he rushed over immediately. Lin Che stopped in his tracks and quickly turned his head around. Gu Jingze had already entered the room. He spotted Lin Che among the female guests and immediately walked over to him. When everyone saw Gu Jingze come in, they stood at the top out of respect for the family head. Gu Jingze had already proved that his position as the family head was unshakable. especially when Gu Xianda was sick and no one knew when he would pass away. Gu Jingza's position was even more unshakable. Seeing Gu Jingza come in, Xue Mingqi quickly stood up and looked in his direction. "Cousin, you're here. I haven't seen you in a long time. I just came back. I know you're busy, so I didn't greet you. I hope you don't mind." Gu Jingza turned around and looked at Xue Mingqi. However, he quickly came up to Lin Che and said, "Why didn't you tell me that you're here?" Lin Che said, "I just wanted to come and have a look. It's not a big deal, is it?" Gu Jingza sighed and looked at Lin Che as if he was an idiot. He took Lin Che's hand and asked her to follow behind him. Then he looked at Xue Mingqi. "Oh, Mingqi, you're back." Xue Mingqi was a little embarrassed, but she quickly recovered. She looked at Lin Che and Gu Jingza and said, "Yes, I thought you didn't recognize me. How could that be? We're all relatives, how could we not know each other?" Only then did Xue Mingqi look at Gu Jingza and smile. This cousin of hers, after not seeing him for so many years, had become even more handsome. The coldness in his eyes was hard to conceal the charm of maturity. His handsome face was so handsome that it caused people to sigh in admiration. Logically speaking, many men would gain weight after marriage, and after having children, they would become even more decadent. However, Gu Jingza was still as dashing and handsome as he had been for many years. It seemed that time had left only sexiness and charm on his face and body, without leaving any scars. Everyone naturally liked good-looking people, and everyone wanted the other party to like them. So seeing that her busy cousin still had an impression of her, Xue Mingqi was also very happy. "I thought cousin didn't recognize me anymore." She took a step forward coquettishly. However, Gu Jingza immediately dodged. He pulled Lin Che and said, "All right, you guys talk first. Lin Che's body isn't very good, I'll take him to rest." Xue Mingqi stopped and looked at Lin Che. She smiled gently and said, "Then cousin, take cousin-in-law to do her work first. We still have time to talk anyway." Xue Mingqi watched Lin Che leave with Gu Jingza. No one said a word and they just watched Gu Jingza leave. Xue Mingqi looked at their backs. It was her first time seeing Lin Che in person, and she had to admit that Lin Che was indeed good-looking. However, she still made people feel uncomfortable standing next to Gu Jingza. Perhaps this kind of man would make people feel uncomfortable if he belonged to any woman. Even if she was just a relative, she definitely wouldn't have anything to do with Gu Jingza. The two of them were not related by blood, but in a rich and powerful family, reputation, seniority, and relationships were still important. So she definitely couldn't have anything to do with Gu Jingza, and she didn't come back for this. But even so, seeing Gu Jingza standing with another woman, she still felt it was a pity. Lin Che was pulled out by Gu Jingza. He carefully put a coat on her. Seeing that she came here in thin clothes, he grumbled, "Those people around you haven't been punished enough yet, have they?" Lin Che said, "Since they're people around me, of course they have to listen to me. If they listen to you, are they still people around me?" Gu Jingza paused. Then he reached out and pinched her cheek. "You're getting more and more daring. You even dare to talk to me like this." Lin Che smiled and shrunk into his embrace. "You're spoiling me." Lin Che really knew how to act coquettishly, and she didn't act pretentious at all. With that said, Gu Jingza wasn't angry anymore. Instead, he strangely felt a sense of pride, and his satisfaction was obvious. Gu Jingza said, "Yes, I spoiled you." Lin Che smiled and raised her head to look at Gu Jingza. He felt that this man was really amusing. She didn't think so in the past, but now she felt that his anger seemed to disappear immediately when she said a few soft words. She knew that this was all because he spoiled her, loved her, and treated her well. Therefore, she felt satisfied and sweet to be treated so gently by him. She raised her head and said, "How's Grandpa?" Gu Jingza hugged her, his hand still touching her waist. "He hasn't woken up yet after the operation." Lin Che frowned and said, "Ah, what should we do then?" Gu Jingza said, "The doctor said that all his vital signs are normal. But whether he can wake up or not depends on his perseverance. After all, he's different from ordinary patients at his age." Gu Jingza nodded. Gu Jingza nodded. "Doesn't that mean that it still depends on God's will?" "That's right." Gu Jingza let go of Lin Che and looked ahead. "We're still keeping this news under wraps for now. The operation was very successful. We're just waiting for old master to wake up, so you don't have to worry too much. Life and death are fated, and we've done what we should. I'm just worried that if something happens now, you can only stay at home and rest well. Of course, Lin Che understood that he was also thinking about her safety. If anything happened to the child in her belly, she would definitely be very sad. She didn't want that to happen. Don't worry. If something really happens, I'll be obedient. Just do what you need to do and don't worry about me. I know. He turned back, pressed her down and kissed her gently on the forehead. Lin Che said, I don't think I've seen Xuemingqi before. Chapter 1026. Yeah, she's a distant relative. She's been studying abroad and just came back. Really? She doesn't look old. No, she's only 1 year younger than me, Gu Jingzi said. Really? I can't tell at all. Gu Jingzi didn't care about this. He just walked with her in his arms and said, she studied at Stanford University until she got her doctorate. Then she went to the University of Chicago, then Harvard and a few other universities. She also set up a few companies while she was in school. I think she was even a charity ambassador in America. It sounded very impressive. Gu Jingzi frowned and thought for a while. He couldn't remember much more. He just said, there should be something else, but I'm not sure. I don't usually deal with the affairs of the Gu family's womenfolk. It's always mother who takes care of them. Does the matriarch take care of these things? That's right. The division of labor is clear. This way the master of the Gu family doesn't have to worry about anything. The Gu family has its own things to do both internally and externally. The internal affairs of the Gu family have never been chaotic. Even if there's a small struggle, no outsider can interfere. It's also because of this power that the Gu family has become one of the rare wealthy families that hasn't declined after so many years. It wasn't unreasonable to be an ancient wealthy family. Lin Che thought about Xuemingqi. She looked like an ordinary person, but she had so many achievements and experiences. It seemed that there were no ordinary people in the Gu family. Gu Jingzi thought for a while. He felt that it wasn't appropriate for Lin Che to go somewhere else. He wouldn't feel at ease leaving her alone here, no matter who was watching over her. Therefore he brought Lin Che inside and went to Gu Xianda's resting place. At least he was always there to watch over her, so he wouldn't feel worried. He pulled Lin Che inside just like that. Lin Che gradually realized that there weren't many womenfolk in the house. The deeper they went, the more clan members they saw. The clan members' expressions were definitely more surprised than theirs. They didn't expect Gu Jingzi to bring Lin Che in directly. At this time the womenfolk were all waiting outside. Although there wasn't such a rule, it was a common understanding that women shouldn't interfere with men's affairs. But now Lin Che had openly followed Gu Jingzi to the back of the house. This was the Gu clan's most confidential matter. Gu Xianda's illness, his current treatment, and even the funeral arrangements that had already begun to be discussed were all extremely important matters. Lin Che had actually come to participate. What was going on? However, no one dared to say anything when they saw him come in. They could only secretly complain that Gu Jingzi spoiled Lin Che too much. After Lin Che was settled inside, she leaned against one side and rested. Gu Jingzi kissed her and told her to have a good rest. He went out to discuss some business. Lin Che, who was inside, could hear a little movement outside. He knew that everyone was discussing Gu Xianda's condition, but in fact he couldn't hear very clearly. However, when this news reached the outside world, it had a different meaning. People said that Lin Che had gone to the back hall and followed Gu Jingzi to participate in the affairs outside the Gu family. Lin Che was actually bored to death inside. She watched the news, listened to what was going on outside, and read a novel. Seeing that the servants had come to deliver food, she casually ate 2 mouthfuls but couldn't eat much. Just then Yu Minmin suddenly called and said that she was coming to the Gu family and asked if she was there. Hearing this, Lin Che quickly agreed. Finally, there was someone she knew who could accompany her. She wouldn't be so bored anymore. Lin Che directly asked someone to bring Yu Minmin in. Soon Yu Minmin was also brought in. Although the people outside felt that it was inappropriate, they didn't dare to say anything. Yu Minmin entered. Her belly was big, so she walked a little differently than before. She held her forehead and said, "There are so many people outside." Lin Che said, "Yes, there have been so many people in the Gu family these days. Fortunately, the Gu family's territory is big. It's like a manor. There are more than 10 houses. Otherwise, it wouldn't be able to accommodate so many people." At first, Lin Che had thought that since the Gu family's territory was so big, there were many empty places. Now that she thought about it, the Gu family's territory was like the headquarters of a family. If they didn't make it bigger, it wouldn't be able to accommodate them if something happened. Because they were a big family, they must have prepared for it. However, this place really didn't look like a home. She felt that the Gu family's residence, where she lived with Gu Jingze, was better. It was so warm. Although it was big, it wasn't so empty. It was like a headquarters. There was nothing special about it. Yu Minmin looked around and said, I heard that old Master Gu is here. Yes. Wow, how did you get in here? What's wrong with this place? Can't I come in? Lin Che asked curiously. Yu Minmin exclaimed, don't you know? Of course you can't enter this place. Then how did I get in? Lin Che said. Yu Minmin tugged at the silly girl. There's an unwritten rule in the Gu family that men and women should do their own things separately. The women should be waiting outside at this time while the men inside handle things. The women shouldn't get involved in the men's business. So you didn't see any women here. It's all the clan members discussing matters. Yes, it seems like it. I didn't see anyone when I came in, but Gu Jingze brought me here. Yu Minmin was speechless. I followed you to get in. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to get to such a highly confidential place. The place where old Master Gu rests. That's the most confidential place. Yes, the Gu family's most confidential place now was old Master Gu's illness. Lin Che said, I don't care. I think these rules are bullshit anyway. Yu Minmin said, of course, Gu Jingze wouldn't talk to you about these rules normally. After all, he's different from you. However, I heard that the Gu family is very well behaved in other people's homes. Some of these old families are conservative and too rigid. When I visited the family members with Gu Jingming, I realized that there was a language barrier. It was as if we were living in two different worlds. Lin Che smiled. That's why they like to be conservative, but I don't want to do that at all. I think freedom is the most important thing. Yes. We're a family and we're all friends and relatives. Why do we have so many rules? Moreover, according to what you said, husband and wife should have rules in their own home. What's the point of that? Maybe they're already used to it. We married into the family and we're not from a rich family. Of course they're not used to it. Chapter 1027. Yu Minmin said, no, I'm not the daughter of a rich family. You are. You're the daughter of the Lu family. Get lost. Lin Che glared at her when he heard her teasing. Lin Che said, I think the Gu family is not as simple as I thought. But Gu Jingze wasn't the head of the family in the past. He was just Gu Jingze. Now that he's the head of the family, I have to face more of the Gu family's internal affairs. That's why it's so complicated. Yu Minmin sighed. Yeah. It's just like if I hadn't moved into the glass palace, I would never have known that there are so many things in this world, so many hardships, so many complicated things waiting for the president to handle. It's not something as trivial as a person losing money, getting beaten up, or having his house demolished. It's something that concerns the entire country. That's why having a high position and power means having a greater responsibility and having to think more about it. Lin Che thought of Xuemingqi. I just met some of the female members of the Gu clan. I feel that the people in their clan are really amazing. Oh, who did you meet? They have so many relatives. Do you know all of them? Lin Che said, no, she came to greet me, so I asked her. Her name is Xuemingqi and she just came back from abroad. Yu Minmin paused when she heard Xuemingqi's name. She looked at him and said, Xuemingqi? She's already back? Lin Che couldn't help but ask, what's wrong? Do you know her? Yu Minmin looked at Lin Che and frowned. His expression was a little serious. I don't know her. Of course, it's impossible for me to meet her. After all, because of Gu Jingming's identity, he can't come to the Gu clan often. I only heard Gu Jingming say that this Xuemingqi is not a simple person. Lin Che supported his chin and listened attentively. How is she not simple? She has a PhD from 5 universities. She has been to more than 30 countries and established 5 companies in a few years. But she didn't manage any of them herself. She mainly set up the Gu Foundation to do charity work. After that, she was chosen as the charity ambassador of 6 countries and has been doing charity work in those countries. It's similar to what I heard from Gu Jingze before. But he didn't know so much. You are indeed a gossip expert. You know so much. Lin Che said, looks like he really is a very powerful person. It's not easy to be respected by so many countries. That's right. The point is, why did she come to the Gu family at this time? Yu Minmin said. Lin Che's eyes moved. Are you saying that she is not innocent and has ulterior motives towards the Gu family? That's right. Gu Jingming said that she has a lot of prestige in the Gu family. She's known as the most capable woman in the Gu family because of her charity work and management skills. So, after Gu Jingze became the head of the Gu family, everyone doesn't trust you, so they want to separate the Gu family. Among them, Xue Mingqi is one of the candidates. Lin Che's eyes widened as he looked at Yu Minmin. So she came back at this time to snatch the position of Madam of the Gu family? Yeah, I don't think it's a coincidence. Lin Che's eyes narrowed as he thought of the way she talked to him previously. That way there was indeed a kind of hostility. It was faint, but she could feel it. So at that time Lin Che didn't really like her. Because a woman's sixth sense could tell if a person liked her or not. She could also tell if a person didn't like her. Lin Che pondered for a moment. So you're saying that she chose this time to come back and prepare for a big fight, huh? Lin Che thought that the provocation had come right to his doorstep. Yu Minmin said, this is also a problem. As long as you don't accept the position of madam, you will be in danger. But with your current health, if you accept the position of madam, you will be very busy and it won't be good for the child's health. So now is really not the best time. Lin Che said, don't be impatient. Although you said that this kind of thing happened in the past, where the madam and the head of the Gu family were separated, it's not common. If she wants to get the position of madam, she won't be able to do it in a day or two. Let's wait and see. That's right. Anyway, it's best to be careful with her. Just then someone outside said that there seemed to be some movement on old Master Gu's side. Lin Che and Yu Minmin got up and didn't go out, but Lin Che asked Dongzi to go and see if there was anything wrong. Dongzi went to find out and came back after a while. He said to Lin Che, Miss, old Master Gu woke up for a while and then fainted again. What did the doctor say? Lin Che was worried. Dongzi said, the doctor said that it's a good sign, which means that he is gradually recovering. His body is still very stable, which means that he doesn't have any intention of becoming a vegetable. That's good, Lin Che thought calmly. No matter what, a person's sudden death would make people feel sad. Too many deaths would make people feel uncomfortable. Gu Jingze came to pick Lin Che up after settling the matters outside. Lin Che looked at Gu Jingze and remembered what Yu Minmin had said. Minmin said that I shouldn't have come here. Gu Jingze held her hand. Why shouldn't you come? Lin Che said, I don't think you've ever told me about the Gu family's rules. Gu Jingze looked at her and walked slowly with her as he said, rules are for outsiders to see. They're for people who can't be controlled, not for you to follow. But why didn't you tell me? Lin Che said. Gu Jingze smiled. Because I didn't think you could do it for long at first, so I didn't bother to tell you. At first they didn't think each other would become their future. At that time Gu Jingze was so tall and she was so humble. Who would have thought that one day they would really hold hands and walk like this, not willing to let go of each other's hands? What happened after that? After that I felt that rules were too restrictive for you. I didn't want my woman to follow rules. I liked how free you were. Lin Che couldn't help but laugh. Oh, didn't other people say anything? Gu Jingze said, that's why we worked so hard to stand at the highest point, so that other people wouldn't be able to say anything. Gu Jingze looked arrogant. He stood against the wind and there was a faint aura about him like a domineering killer. Although he didn't look as violent as Haiying, he was enough to make people shudder. Looking at him, Lin Che couldn't help but feel that this man was really irresistible. Chapter 1028. Fortunately he was on her side. Otherwise it would be very painful to be his enemy. Lin Che said, but if there are really rules you can tell me. For example, I didn't know that I couldn't come today. It's not good for people to gossip. Gu Jingze said, they're just gossiping about me. I brought you here so it's useless for them to say anything. You're my woman and this is my home. I'm the master of the family. You can go wherever I want. Rules are not as important as you. Gu Jingze looked at her quietly. His gaze was cold and absolute. If anyone dares to say anything about you, I can say it. I've spoiled you. If they have any problems, they can come to me. Lin Che smiled. She hugged Gu Jingze and said, silly, I don't need to do this. Gu Jingze pulled her out with him. Gu Jingze hadn't rested much. Now that Lin Che was here, he felt a little more relaxed and took her out for a walk. There weren't many people on the street. He pulled her along and walked slowly. He was not in a hurry. He felt very relaxed just by looking at her. Actually, he didn't need to do anything when he was with the person he liked. He felt very happy just by taking a leisurely walk and looking at her. He rubbed the space between his brows and closed his eyes. His hand was still holding onto her hand, refusing to let go. Lin Che noticed his faint sigh. She looked at him and said worriedly, "Are you a little tired?" Because his expression was always the same, it was hard to tell whether he was tired or not. He was the same just now. He had been using his domineering aura to wash over everyone and didn't show any signs of fatigue. It was just that he seemed a little more relaxed here, so he looked a little different. His eyes were still pitch black and bottomless, but there was a hint of relaxation between his brows, which made him look a little more tired. Gu Jingzi said, "Yeah, I haven't slept for a long time." How long has it been?" "About more than 30 hours. Why is it like this?" Lin Che looked at him and thought about how he hadn't rested for more than 30 hours. Her heart ached. "Why aren't you sleeping? You can take a nap if someone is watching. Let's go back." "You can sleep first." Lin Che wanted to pull him back. Gu Jingzi held Lin Che down and said, "All right, why are you going back? There's nothing much to do." He pulled her over and held her in his arms. Rubbing her soft body, he already felt that everything was enough. He lowered his head and kissed her forehead. "It's just over 30 hours. When I was working in the past, I didn't sleep for 70 hours in a row." 70 hours. She felt like she was going to die if she didn't rest for more than 40 hours. Moreover, that was only because she couldn't sleep well. She could still find a place to lie down and take a nap for a while. When it was time to film, she would sleep for a while and wake up when it was her turn. Like this, after more than 40 hours, she was already a useless dog. Gu Jingzi didn't sleep for a long time. What a pain in the ass. Why did he have to work so hard? She felt that perhaps the chosen one did not need to be so tired anymore. But that was not the case. He was still so tired. Lin Che hugged him and said, "No, if you're so tired, how can your body take it in the future? I'm already used to it. When I went to school, I also flew back and forth every day. Basically, I slept on the plane. But look, my body is still better than yours. You don't have to work so hard." Gu Jingzi hugged her, but he still had things to do. He was an impatient person, so he wanted to finish them before resting together. Lin Che frowned and said worriedly, "If you do this, even I won't be able to take it. If you don't rest well when the time comes and your body gets worse, are you going to leave me and the child alone?" Lin Che said, "That won't do. You're someone else's husband and father now. You have to be responsible for so many people, and you have to be responsible for us too, right?" Gu Jingzi looked at her. He knew that she was worried about him. He smiled and pinched her cheeks. "Don't coax me. Don't ever do that again. Do you hear me?" Lin Che said directly to him in a rare display of dominance. Okay. Gu Jingzi had no choice but to sigh at her. "Yes, master. Okay. I'm the master of the Gu family and you're the boss. You're so annoying." Seeing that he agreed, Lin Che was satisfied. She smiled again and said, "Based on what you said, it's as if I'm the boss of the Gu family. I can't take it." "Aren't you? The Gu family listens to me and I listen to you, so of course you're the boss." Hearing this, Lin Che said proudly, "Aya, that means I'm so awesome. Oh my god, I feel like the whole world is mine." Gu Jingzi said, "Of course, it's all yours." Lin Che said, "So I don't have to listen to anyone in the Gu family?" "Of course. You don't have to. Hee, if you say this to someone else, they'll be scared to death. If I say that I'm the boss of the Gu family, people will think that I'm crazy. But you really are." He pinched her collar and helped the proud little woman fix her clothes. Lin Che said, "When you're done with the work these few days, don't be so busy. You still need to rest. Okay, you're the boss. I'll listen to you and rest." Gu Jingzi was really like a henpecked wife. Just then Lin Che saw a poster by the roadside. It said that there would be a concert in the next few days. The singer was a heavenly singer and the tickets were often sold out at the beginning. It was very difficult to buy. She looked at the poster and said, "Aya, I really want to go to that concert." Gu Jingzi frowned and looked at it. He didn't recognize the person in the photo. He only saw that it was a man. He said, "Why? Do you know this man?" The more she cared about a person, the more she felt that any male around her was dangerous to her. Lin Che said, "What? How could I know him?" I'm not very familiar with singers and actors. A heavenly singer like him definitely wouldn't be familiar with us. He doesn't know how to act, and he doesn't know how to act in television dramas. He has only acted in a few movies. I used to like him very much. I didn't expect that he would be holding a concert. I didn't have time to go before, and the tickets were very expensive. I couldn't afford it. Gu Jingzi said, "You like him?" Seeing that his eyes were getting darker and darker, Lin Che said speechlessly, "I like his songs." Lin Che glared at him and said sadly, "But I don't think he can buy the tickets. They were all sold out the moment he came out." Chapter 1029. Gu Jingzi narrowed his eyes and looked over there. "If you want to go, I can get someone to ask." "Really?" "Of course." Gu Jingzi looked at her and said, "You can ask your friends in the circle. It should be easy to get tickets." "Alright, I forgot." Lin Che remembered that there were some internal tickets that were not sold and were only given away. She should be able to get them if she asked someone to get them now. Because some celebrities went to concerts, singers liked it very much. It was a bit of publicity and a bit of a gimmick. However, Lin Che wasn't sure if this king would do that because his concerts didn't need any gimmick. There were many people who went to listen to him sing. Gu Jingzi took her back first. After confirming that the old man had recovered, Gu Jingzi was ready to have a good rest. Everyone felt that they shouldn't continue like this, lest they dragged themselves into it. A few days later, Gu Jingzi got someone to send tickets to Lin Che. Lin Che opened it and saw that it was a VIP ticket. This kind of ticket wasn't a free ticket either. It was a ticket that cost a lot of money to buy. Usually, this kind of ticket would be sold out as soon as it came out because it was very close to the front and the location was better. He didn't expect Gu Jingzi to get such a ticket. Looking at the two tickets, Lin Che immediately called Gu Jingzi. "I saw the tickets, but there are two. Aren't you going to bring someone with you?" Gu Jingzi said. Lin Che said, "Of course I'll bring you with me." Gu Jingzi said without hesitation, "I'm not going." Lin Che said, "Why not? Are you going?" "I don't want to go to the concert." "Who wants you to go? You can go with me." "It's noisy." "I don't want to go," Gu Jingzi said. Lin Che narrowed his eyes and said speechlessly, "Oh okay. Forget it if you don't want to go." Gu Jingzi said, "Lin Che, you can invite Yu Minmin or I'll buy." "No, they're all very busy." Lin Che rolled his eyes and smiled. "They'll be the busiest when I'm not at the company." "Ah, but I thought of someone I can invite." "Who?" "Situ Cheong. He should be very free every day. After all, he's not like us poor workers." Lin Che could already imagine how dark Gu Jingzi's face would be. Lin Che said, "All right then, I'll hang up first." "Wait." Gu Jingzi stopped Lin Che. What's wrong? Aren't you busy? Get dressed. I'll take you to the concert," he said. Lin Che pursed his lips and smiled. Not long after, Gu Jingzi arrived. He got out of the car and looked at Lin Che, who was ready. She purposely put on more clothes. She wore a cap and black-rimmed glasses. It seemed that her disguise was really good. The two of them drove out together and asked the others to follow them from afar and not follow them into the venue. Anyway, they were in the VIP seats and they would enter from the VIP entrance. Moreover, the seats wouldn't be too crowded, unlike the seats at the back. If it was too crowded, it wouldn't be good for her health. As soon as they arrived outside the venue, they could see that there were a lot of people here. There was a traffic jam outside and the whole road was blocked. They needed the traffic police and armed police to control the situation. Otherwise, it was very likely that there would be chaos. There were crooks and honest people mixed together outside the concert. Some fans who couldn't get in would still support them outside. Rows upon rows of people were selling flashing signs and the like. Gu Jingzi was already starting to feel dissatisfied. He sighed and rubbed his eyebrows. Looking at the noisy people outside, he felt a little impatient. Lin Che looked at him with a smile and got out of the car with him. As they walked inside, Gu Jingzi said, "So many people. It's a concert. He has so many fans. There must be a lot of people." Gu Jingzi frowned. "I don't know what's so good about these people." Yes. "They're not like the big CEO who likes to listen to elegant music." Gu Jingzi said, "I think pure music can barely have a hypnotic effect." "You really? So in your eyes is money useful?" "That's right." Gu Jingzi said, "Of course things that can benefit many people are useful. We built the bridge, the housing, the economic rules, the virtual data. These are all useful to people. Lin Che shook his head. You really don't know how to enjoy life. Gu Jingzi said, some people live to enjoy life, but we live to benefit people. You sound so proud. Gu Jingzi raised his head and looked ahead calmly. The two of them were already holding hands and walking to their seats. The seats were really good. They were close to the stage and could see the top of the stage. They were separated from the crowd behind them. Also, the seats were better. Although it was full, it wasn't crowded. After Gu Jingzi and Lin Che sat down, Lin Che looked at him and said, you can't think that music isn't good. Music can relieve emotions and release emotions. Moreover, listening to music is spiritual enjoyment. My spirit doesn't need enjoyment. So you only have to work hard for your life. Earning money is already a kind of spiritual enjoyment. What's earning money for? Gu Jingzi looked at her. Earning money itself is a kind of enjoyment. Earning money is to be spent. Only after you spend it will it be your own money. Otherwise, it's all the bank's money, the employee's money, other people's money, not your money. Isn't that the case? If you use the money you earn to invest, you will spend it on a project. If you spend it on a project, you will spend money to hire a lot of people to work for you. Then you will use the money you earn to support a lot of employees. If you don't invest in the bank, you will be supporting the bank. So, the money you spend and buy things for yourself to enjoy is your money. Music is different. Once you listen to it, it is yours. You don't need to spend anything. You just need to bring along your ears. Tell me, isn't there a reason why so many people like to listen to it? Gu Jingzi gave her a deep look. Lin Che tilted his head and looked ahead. He squinted his eyes and smiled brightly. Nonsense, he said. Lin Che said, I think it makes sense. I won't argue with you. I think you can't argue with me, Lin Che said. Gu Jingzi's face darkened. He glared at Lin Che and said, say it again. I'll say it. All right, Lin Che, you're openly provoking me. No one dared to challenge his authority, but Lin Che still did it. He went up to pinch her face. Lin Che couldn't dodge and was pushed down by him. In their seats, the two of them started to quarrel. The people around them kept looking at them. They thought that the two of them were here to watch the concert or to quarrel. But the two of them acted as if there was no one else around. Gu Jingzi pinched her face hard. He wanted to take revenge on this scoundrel who brainwashed him with nonsense. Chapter 10:30. Lin Che laughed coquettishly. The people around them couldn't help but look over. Lin Che quickly shut her mouth. However, her disguise was very good and no one could tell who she was at all. Instead, they saw such a handsome man sitting with an ugly woman laughing and joking around. It seemed that he treated the woman very well and they couldn't help but feel a bit surprised and they turned around to take a look. Gu Jingzi pulled Lin Che up and helped her settle down again. He lowered his head and said to her, I'll deal with you when we get back. Hey. I'll deal with you on the stomach. Gu Jingzi said, you're relying on the amulet now, aren't you? Of course. I want to take advantage of this opportunity to bully you more. Gu Jingzi pinched her cheek. You say it as if you don't bully me usually. Lin Che said, I don't bully you often. Not often. Even the servants in our house know that you bully me every day. Why do you sound so sad? Lin Che smiled and leaned against him. She kissed him lightly on the lips and quickly let go. After all, they were in public. Although she had become bolder after her disguise, she still felt embarrassed. Gu Jingzi looked at her and said, Yeah. You always coax me with sugar-coated bullets after you're done bullying me. Lin Che hugged him happily. She felt that it was something to be proud of to bully him like this. However, the two of them didn't know that when they were showing off their affection, the people around them were envious. When she raised her head, she realized that she had become a public enemy in everyone's eyes. Not only was she dressed like this, but she also had a super handsome boyfriend who whispered to her from time to time, smiled dotingly and lovingly rubbed her face. The two of them even acted as if there was no one else around them, and they were intimate as if there was no one else around. They were so close to each other as if they were one person. Wasn't this going to make the people around them jealous? Lin Che quickly restrained herself. It looked like the concert was about to start and the people around them slowly became excited. There were many people at the concert. Looking back, there were countless flashes of light and the excited voices seemed to be able to tear the roof off the stadium. Of course, this was not the hottest time. It was not until the concert really began that everyone became even more lively. Gu Jingze looked indifferent. He shook his head speechlessly when he saw everyone shouting crazily after the singer came out. Looking at it this way, the singer was actually quite good-looking. She also sings very well. It was also very stylish. Although this was nothing to Gu Jingze, he couldn't sit still when he saw that Lin Che had also gone crazy. After the song ended, the singer took off his jacket and threw it down coolly. The crowd was boiling with excitement. Screams rang out. Lin Che, who was at the side, was moved by this atmosphere. She felt like a little deer was running wild and her maiden heart was full. It was no wonder that everyone liked to come to the live show. It was really different. Felt like everyone would be driven crazy. After finishing the song, Lin Che's face was already red. He looked at the front excitedly. The singer had a body full of muscles. Because of the concert, he had specially trained his body and now he looked very perfect. So handsome," Lin Che said, cupping his face. Gu Jingze glanced in front of him and crossed his arms. "How is he handsome? He's handsome everywhere. He's super handsome." Gu Jingze felt that it was unbelievable. Although he wasn't ugly, he wasn't that good. Gu Jingze pulled Lin Che. "Look at me. You decided that he's handsome?" "Yeah." Lin Che was still excited. She didn't care about the expression on his face. Gu Jingze said, "Huh. Say that again." Lin Che was pinched by him. She was speechless. This man couldn't be jealous because of this, could he? Liking an idol was different from liking a man. "Hey Gu Jingze, he's already very handsome. He's my idol since I was young, okay? I've liked him since high school." She still dared to say that she liked him? Gu Jingze was about to die from anger. "Say that again. You're annoying. I just like him." "Hey, you're doing this on purpose, aren't you?" "Of course not. It's true. Liking an idol is different. When we were young, we would hide in bed in the middle of the night to listen to him sing. We even thought that we must marry him when we grow up." Gu Jingze grabbed Lin Che and kissed her on the lips first. Lin Che was caught off guard. She only felt that he was punishing her as he sucked on her lips and bit down hard. She let out a cry. But it immediately attracted the attention of the people around them. This cry sounded too much like a coquettish moan, so it attracted the attention of the people around them. The people at the side saw that the couple beside them had actually started kissing. In an instant they stopped watching the concert. Although there were many people who showed off their love at concerts, it was really rare to see such a show. It was mainly because other people showed off their love. It wasn't as dazzling as this pair. When this man was sticking to the girl, he was so affectionate and domineering. He handsomely held the back of the girl's head and bit her. When he slightly closed his eyes, his eyelashes became even more obvious. His scallop-shaped eyes looked so beautiful. Under the colorful lights, they really looked like a comic, extremely vivid. Although everyone was attracted at first when they saw this man's beautiful posture, they suddenly felt that this person was even better looking than the concert on stage. It was too blissful to be kissed by him like this. However, the woman in his arms looked so unremarkable. Apart from her small face and smooth skin, there didn't seem to be anything special about her. Lin Che pushed for a long time before she finally pushed the man away. Suddenly, she felt the surprised gazes around her. Her face turned red. This Gu Jingze was too crazy when he wanted to take revenge. Lin Che quickly wiped her mouth and lowered her head, not daring to look at anyone. She only used her hand to hit his chest hard and scolded, "You're so annoying. Just you wait." After hitting her for a long time, Gu Jingze finally took her hand and held it in his palm. Lin Che heard a disdainful snort from the side. She looked up and noticed that everyone was looking at her with hatred. She was stunned. She touched her face and then remembered that she had specially disguised herself today. She looked really ugly. Yes, Gu Jingze was already so dazzling, but she was still so ugly. It seemed like everyone felt that it was not worth it for Gu Jingze. Chapter 1031. Of course, Lin Che could understand their strange gazes. They were probably wondering why a good-looking man like him would have such an old-fashioned woman by his side. She had seen him for so many years and she never got tired of him. She would still be amazed when she looked back at him. Moreover, it was their first time seeing him. Although the singers on the stage were dazzling, they didn't have his aura. Some people were even guessing if this man was a celebrity who was here to support them. Lin Che faintly heard someone ask, Is he a celebrity? Why haven't I seen him before? Yeah, I can't remember. Maybe he looks different on TV, but he's so handsome. I don't think I've forgotten. Lin Che suddenly felt that coming out with him was indeed very dangerous. She looked around and saw that everyone's gazes were getting weirder and weirder. She quickly lay down and behaved herself. For the next few songs she didn't dare to tease Gu Jingze anymore. After that, the concert ended in a jubilant atmosphere. Lin Che and Gu Jingze left together. As they walked along the crowd, they saw that the people who were leaving were still discussing excitedly. It was Lin Che's first time at a concert and she was very excited. She waved her hands and said, "No wonder he's still a superstar after so many years. He's so handsome." Gu Jingze was unhappy again. He looked at her with a dark expression. Lin Che felt that this man was a little too petty. But to take care of his emotions, she reluctantly patted his arm and said, "Of course he's not as handsome as you. He's not as handsome as you, okay?" Gu Jingze snorted and said, "So many people like this kind of song. No wonder people are getting more and more restless." Gu Jingze was originally unconvinced. Seeing Lin Che being so infatuated with another man, he couldn't stand it anymore. That was why he said that. Originally, he didn't have any concept of this kind of song. He didn't like it or hate it. But of course he wouldn't say that in front of Lin Che. However, he didn't expect that there were fans everywhere. This sentence was quickly heard by the fans on the side. One of the fans heard it and looked over. Seeing that the two people in front were talking, she screamed and walked over. "Hey, the one in front, what did you say?" Gu Jingze never listened to irrelevant people when he was walking, so he naturally didn't hear this sentence. Lin Che heard it. He turned around and saw the girl standing behind him with her hands on her waist. She was glaring at Lin Che and Gu Jingze with her fans. "What's wrong?" his friend asked. The girl pointed in Gu Jingze's direction and said, "The man in front said that this kind of song can be liked." "What kind of song is this? What does he mean?" When a few fans heard this, they also looked over angrily. Because there were a lot of people and they had just gotten excited, the adrenaline was not over yet, so it was easy for them to act rashly. "Ah, what kind of song is this? Do you understand it? This is the kind of song you sing." "That's right. If you don't like it, why did you come here?" "That's right. Isn't he just cheap? He didn't like it, but he still spent money to listen to it. After listening to it, he still scolded people. This kind of person is really something. He doesn't have good taste and yet he says that other people's songs aren't good. Just look at how many people like him and you can tell how popular his songs are. I'm asking you a question. Say it again if you dare." Several fans surrounded the two of them and attacked them together. Lin Che was still holding Gu Jingze's arm. She looked at Gu Jingze and wanted to pull him away first. These fans were not to be trifled with. She had been in the entertainment industry for a long time and she knew that fans could be very scary when they were irrational. However, Gu Jingze had already turned his head around. He narrowed his eyes slightly and pursed his lips quietly. His eyes were filled with arrogance. When he looked at the few people, he looked down at them. As he was, after all, too tall, he looked down at everyone. It made people feel that he was unparalleled. However, the few fans were a little stunned. They didn't expect that he would turn around and be such a charming man. Their gazes were momentarily fixed on his face. They were stunned by his perfect appearance. However, at the next moment they realized that it was embarrassing. What was the meaning of staring at someone who had been scolded by them? Hence, the girl in front of them started scolding. "Hey, what kind of attitude is that? We're talking to you. Can't you hear us?" One of them started to react and the others quickly came to their senses. In an instant they felt even more embarrassed. They looked at Gu Jingze and vented, "You have to apologize now. What right do you have to say that about his song? Is it right to criticize him? You don't even know him." "Exactly. How many times have you heard his songs? Just say it like that. Apologize." Lin Che thought that she had met a brainless fan. Gu Jingze was not familiar with this kind of situation. Lin Che quickly said, "All right, we were just chatting and joking. There's no need to take it seriously." When the girl saw Lin Che, she scolded, "Chatting and gossiping about others. You're too immoral. Exactly, you have no manners. How did your family teach you? You look so old but you still don't know how to behave." Her words were getting worse and worse. Lin Che's face tensed up. She loved this singer very much, but she was very rational and knew what it meant to love him. She wasn't as brainless as these little girls. What did they mean by having no manners? Forget it. I have nothing to say to you guys. Lin Che pulled Gu Jingze, who was beside him and was about to leave. The girls were not going to let it go. They chased after them and scolded, "What? You can't win, so you're running away? You haven't apologized yet. Don't come to our TZ concert next time. People like you will only insult TZ if you come." That's right. It's people like you who occupy space and don't love TZ. That's why it's so hard to buy tickets. TZ doesn't want people like you to come to our concert. We don't want you to buy tickets. Why don't you give the tickets to people who really understand TZ? Lin Che couldn't take it anymore. At the side, Gu Jingze was finally angry. He turned around and looked at them. I don't want to come to listen either, but you guys better listen to me. If you dare to say another word, alright, it's useless to say anything to them. Go. Lin Che knew that if he said anything to them, it would only make things worse. They only wanted him to admit his mistake and bow his head. It was unreasonable and illogical. Although it was also to protect their idol, it was a little too much. He wanted Gu Jingze to shut up, but who knew that Gu Jingze's mouth would become even more poisonous? Of course, I don't have time to persuade you not to like someone. You don't have to persuade us to like someone because we don't necessarily have to like someone you like. For example, if you like to eat shit, you have to force others to eat it too. Isn't that a little too much? Chapter 1032. Lin Che was speechless. This Gu Jingze should stop fanning the flames at this time. He really didn't know how scary die-hard fans could be, especially after such an exciting concert had just ended. These small fans who gathered together were young, hot-tempered, and fearless. At this moment, the few of them were furious. They looked at Gu Jingze as if they were going to eat him alive. How dare you say that? That's outrageous. You're insulting me. Who do you think you are? You just have a pretty face. That's right. What kind of ugly monster is following him? One look and I can tell that he's a sugar baby. How dare a sugar baby like you talk about TZ? The few of them were about to rush forward. They were extremely agitated. The intense quarrel immediately attracted the attention of the people around them. Gu Jingze still stood there without moving. Seeing that he didn't even retort, the few girls were even more furious. Some of them even wanted to beat him up. The people behind them hurried to stop them. Don't stoop to his level. Stop fighting. It won't be good for TZ if the news gets out. Gu Jingze snorted and said, "Little girl, go home and study. When you grow up, you'll know how embarrassing it is for you to do such a thing today." You're pissing me off. Don't stop me today. She was so angry that she rushed forward. Unexpectedly, before she could reach him, the Gu family's guards had already appeared and stopped her. Behind them, before they could react, more people arrived one after another. All of a sudden, several burly men were blocked here, causing the girls to jump in fright. Thus, the number of onlookers increased. The discussions behind them also became louder and louder as more people paid attention to them. Who is this guy? He's so handsome. He even brought a bodyguard here. Are they rich? He looks like a rich second-generation heir. His clothes look so expensive. He has bodyguards. He can't be a nouveau riche, can he? When the few girls heard that it was a nouveau riche, they looked at the bodyguards and felt a little guilty. But now was the time when they were in high spirits and there were so many people watching from behind, so they were not so afraid. The girl in front shouted, "So what if you're a nouveau riche? So what if you're a rich second generation? Even if you're rich, it's your parents' money. You're not like our TZ. We've been earning our own money since we were young." That's right. Our TZ relies on our own strength. You can't even compare to him with a finger. How dare you talk about him like that? Learn from our TZ. We're so talented and not so arrogant. Look at what you are. He's just a good-for-nothing playboy. He doesn't know anything except flirting with women. Lin Che looked at them and said, "You guys are too much." Those few people noticed Lin Che and attacked him directly. "Ah, your taste is so bad. Luckily you don't like our TZ. You find such an ugly chick. If you like our TZ, that would be sad." Gu Jingze's gaze became fierce. It didn't matter if she said it was him. He wouldn't bother with people, especially this kind of ignorant little girl. However, he could not allow anyone to insult Lin Che. Gu Jingze glanced over and the security guard in front immediately slapped the girl who spoke. This time, everyone was dumbfounded. After a long while, the girl whose face was hurt screamed and rushed over to hit the security guard who hit her. "I'm going to kill you." Unfortunately, before she could reach the place, she was tripped by the security guard and fell to the ground. The girl cried and shouted on the ground, "You even hit a woman. You guys are so despicable." The girls who came with her were also shocked. Some people were calling the police and some people were making a fuss about calling 120. Everyone started shouting, "They're hitting someone. They're hitting someone here. Quick, take a photo. Let's see what this scumbag who hit a woman looks like." Someone picked up their phone to take a photo, but it was snatched away by the security guard. After snatching it, he didn't care about any objections and directly smashed the phone to the ground. When the people behind saw this, they didn't dare to take any more photos. They didn't want their phones to be destroyed. However, a few fans were shouting even louder. Someone said directly, "I want to contact the fan club. We want to ruin this man's reputation here." That's right. Let all the fans see who this person is who insulted our TZ on such a good day. We'll beat him up every time we see him. This was going to be a big deal. Lin Che wanted to pull Gu Jingzi away, but someone had already called the police. The police really came immediately. However, these kids were immature. How could the police not be? When they saw the Gu family's badge, a few people immediately surrounded Gu Jingzi. Although they didn't know who he was from the Gu family, they didn't dare to be negligent. "Sir, there are too many people here. Let's go over there and settle this first," the police said respectfully in a low voice. Gu Jingzi nodded. "Let's go." He held Lin Che with one hand and led Lin Che away with the police. When the people saw this, they realized that the expressions of the police didn't seem right. Why didn't they take the person away? Instead, they were very polite to him. How could they treat a criminal like that? They were obviously asking the person out, not arresting him. A few people carried the girl who had fallen to the ground to the ambulance. They said, "Look at that guy. He can't be very rich." The police seemed to be very nice to him. Really, so what if he's rich? So many people saw him beating someone up. Yeah, let's call for a fan club. If TZ knows about this, they'll help us. When that happens, we'll kill him. As they said this, they really started to look for the fan club to help with this matter. When the fan club heard that someone who had attended a concert had been beaten up, they actively joined in. They thought that it would be good to create a topic of discussion and make their celebrity's concert more popular. Therefore, before the concert ended, they went online and posted that a certain rich second-generation heir had gone to the concert and insulted TZ, saying that they sang shit. How could he do that? Who did he think he was? How could he insult their idol at a concert like that? Moreover, he even started to beat people up and sent them to the hospital. They tagged TZ on Weibo and the topic was blown up in an instant. Because TZ was a heavenly singer, he definitely had the most die-hard fans in the country. Therefore, anything related to him would definitely be blown up. Chapter 1033. This incident started to ferment in an instant. The fans kept saying, "What's so great about that rich second-generation kid? Why did he go there and cause trouble? He was simply treating himself as a god. TZ was better than any rich second-generation kid." Did rich second-generation kids have that many fans? As fans, they had to protect their idols. They wouldn't allow anyone to scold their idols just because they had some money. Of course, TZ's team discovered this immediately and quickly contacted the support team to see what was going on. On the other side, Lin Che knew that the outcome wouldn't be good. She watched the news and saw the scolding words. She was speechless as she thought to herself, "These people really know how to cause trouble." At that time they had just said it casually and it was just her and Gu Jingzi chatting. They had eavesdropped on it and it had already blown up to this extent. It was said that the girl was still in the hospital. She had only been pushed down, but she was still in the hospital and wouldn't come out. When Gu Jingzi came in, he saw that Lin Che was still watching. He walked over and glanced at the screen, only to see that it was full of vulgarities. Some people even said that they wanted to search his body. Gu Jingzi said, "Hey, did these people see what exactly happened? Why are they scolding me like that?" Lin Che bit her finger. When I want to scold someone, I usually don't look at what's written in the news. I just look at the title and start scolding. Lin Che said, "Well, I'm just venting on the internet. I don't care who you are, I just like to scold." Gu Jingzi took the tablet and looked at the things on it. He snorted and let out a muffled sound of disdain. He looked at the name on the screen and said, "Is it called TZ? I think his career of being crowned as a king is coming to an end." No way, Lin Che said quickly. "Don't be like this. He's my idol when I was young." Gu Jing's face was tense and he didn't listen to her crying. Lin Che stood up quickly and said, "It's true. Although I don't know him, he's still my idol. I really liked him when I was young." Gu Jingzi snorted when he heard that. "No wonder your IQ is so low. It seems that you used the wrong person as a role model when you were young. You must be banned." No. She knew that she had said the wrong thing, so she quickly tugged at him and said, "How is he not as handsome as you? He's only good at singing. Before I met you, I thought he was really talented because I didn't have anyone to compare myself to. Now that I've met you, I don't think he's talented anymore. It's mainly because I was young back then. This concert is just to relive my childish and aesthetic past." After listening to her rambling, Gu Jingzi finally snorted, picked up the tablet indifferently and put it on the table. "He should be glad that he has so many die-hard fans and a fan like you who can put in a few good words for him," he said. "Forget it, but it's a must to teach him a lesson." How petty. However, Lin Che knew that he had already given him a lot of face. If it was someone else, there would be no room for them to speak. It was also because it wasn't TZ who had offended him this time but the fans. He could only hope that TZ wouldn't run out at this time and spout nonsense. If that happened, no one would be able to save him. With Gu Jing's temper, if it was someone else, wouldn't he be chased out of Country C in a matter of minutes? On the other side, the people from TZ immediately began to understand the situation. The people from the fan club explained the situation at that time. They said that when the police came, they didn't take him away and even escorted him out safely. When the people from TZ heard that, they actually escorted him out directly. Moreover, they immediately escorted him out. After all, they weren't children and didn't know anything. They knew that there weren't many people who weren't afraid of the police in B City. Although some people were very rich, B City was different from other places. Generally, rich people didn't dare to be high profile because there were too many rich people. But for the police to immediately become respectful at a glance, it was obvious that the person was not someone of low social status. The people from TZ immediately went to the police to find out who it was that day. When they found out, they were scared to death. They said that the person who went was probably someone from the Gu family. The people from TZ were scared to death. They wanted to say that they had actually offended the Gu family. Of all people, they had to offend the Gu family. Were they going to die? The people from TZ immediately went to find out who the person from the Gu family was. It wasn't easy to find out, but immediately TZ's concert was ordered to be rectified because it was a nuisance to the public. The tickets were all sold out. If they suddenly changed the time, they would definitely offend someone. They started to panic, but they felt that there must be a reason for something like this to happen at this time. It couldn't be a coincidence. Immediately, the people from TZ followed this line of questioning. The local performance organization directly said, "You have offended someone important. We know that we have offended someone, but we don't know who exactly we have offended, so we're asking around. We have offended Gu Jingzi." The few of them almost spat out. "Was he at the scene that day? I heard that he brought Madam to the concert. Madam seems to be your fan." Then he was surrounded. Now this is a warning. You should know that Gu Jingzi. If you are still alive and can ask around, it means that he isn't really angry. Yes. The few of them said in a trembling voice. There was indeed a wave of lingering fear in their hearts. They only felt grateful that they were still alive. Then what should we do now? What else can we do? Hurry up and find a chance to apologize. Can we see Gu Jingzi? This kind of person isn't an ordinary rich person. We can see him whenever we want. These fans are really... This won't do. We can't let them continue to cause trouble. Aren't they going to kill someone? The people from TZ immediately dealt with it. They quickly got TZ to post a notice on Weibo, telling the fans not to go overboard. He said, "Everyone's criticism of me is attention to me. I am happy to receive attention. Those fans who cause trouble aren't TZ's fans. TZ's fans are cultured, responsible, and assertive people. They like me rationally and support me, not tarnishing the name of the TZ family. I hope that the majority of fans can also comment on this matter after understanding the whole truth. I am sorry for the person who was slandered. I hope that you can forgive him." This time the fans were a little dumbfounded. When they looked again, the entire incident was also explained. Only then did everyone feel that those fans had gone overboard. Moreover, the other party didn't say anything. They had caused such a huge commotion and even scolded them for so long. It was a little too much. Chapter 1034. After TZ said so, they immediately stopped making trouble. They even condemned the fans who caused trouble at the concert and directly explained that those fans were indeed different from the rational fans who liked and supported TZ. They were brainless fans but not necessarily true fans. If they liked TZ, they should be polite, follow the rules, be generous, and work hard to maintain TZ's image. They shouldn't cause trouble at the concert and scold other people who didn't like TZ. TZ's people immediately heard that Gu Jingze would be a guest at the Black Hawk Club in the near future, so they hurried over. TZ naturally came in person. After he entered the door, the agent on the side also carefully said to him, "This time Mr. Gu probably gave us such an opportunity. Otherwise, how could we find out about such a person's whereabouts? You must cherish the opportunity later and don't say anything wrong." "I know I won't say anything wrong. Anyway, I'll just beg for mercy." TZ had been popular for so many years, naturally it wasn't enough to just be good at singing. At the same time, they also had to know how to behave. Therefore, this kind of thing was already known long ago. They didn't offend ordinary rich people. Who knew which one would become the next investor and the next opportunity, let alone the Gu family that dominated the entire sea country. Sometimes, those fans who didn't understand would really be a hindrance to them. They thought they were protecting their idol, but in fact they were harming them. In the end, their idol had to clean up the mess for them, and some even had to painstakingly pull back the situation and beg for mercy. TZ was also very helpless, but taking advantage of this opportunity to meet this powerful Mr. Gu, he felt that it was also an opportunity. The agent continued, "It is said that Gu Jingze brought his wife to your concert that day because she likes you. Is that so? It's good. I'll mention his wife later. Maybe for her sake it will be easier to talk to him." As they spoke, they had already entered. As soon as they saw Gu Jingze's iron-faced bodyguard standing outside, they couldn't help but feel a sense of respect. Seeing that they looked different from ordinary people made people feel a little depressed. TZ then cursed those brainless fans. They really knew how to cause trouble. At the same time, he was glad that Mrs. Gu was also a fan, otherwise he would really be dead this time. "We're here to visit Mr. Gu. Can you inform him of our arrival?" The manager said, "We are TZ. We are here to ask for Mr. Gu's forgiveness. We hope that Mr. Gu can meet us so that we can atone for our sins with our lives." Qin Hao watched from the front and glanced at his agent. Usually, Gu Jingze wouldn't meet this kind of person. This time he didn't know why, but for Lin Che's sake he actually gave TZ a way out. Madam's influence was indeed limitless. "Sir is inside, but only TZ can enter." Yes, okay TZ, you go in." TZ took a deep breath and secretly clenched his fists before he dared to walk in. As soon as she entered, she saw the man sitting on a single sofa with his legs crossed. He seemed to be lazily leaning against the sofa while holding a tablet in his hand. His slender fingers tapped lightly and his gaze was scattered in front of him. His black suit gave off an oppressive aura, making people feel a cold aura lingering around him. He turned his head slightly. On his arrogant face there was a faint coldness. His unreachable brows and eyes were as cold as the stars. His twin peaks carried a hint of coldness and his pitch-black eyes were bottomless. It made people feel as if they had fallen into an abyss and didn't dare to look at him directly. This was a person with an imposing manner. All of a sudden, TZ felt as if he was an emperor, making people feel like kneeling down to talk to him. "Mr. Gu, I'm here to ask for forgiveness. I'm really sorry about this matter. I didn't know that those people were insulting Mr. Gu behind his back. These people don't know who Mr. Gu is and they are young and insensible. It's my fault, I didn't set a good example. I don't know why I was chased by some fans with poor upbringing. I'm responsible and I'm also at fault. I didn't realize it in time. No matter what, I'm guilty of this matter. I hope Mr. Gu can punish me. I haven't been able to feel at ease these past few days." Gu Jingze looked at him. He stared at his face and felt that Lin Che wouldn't really like his face. Although it was good to look at, it really wasn't good. He didn't believe that after being with him for so many years, Lin Che would still think that his face was good. On the stage, TZ looked very handsome, but he looked very ordinary after coming off stage. Alright, he didn't care about this. Since Lin Che liked his talent, he would give Lin Che face. However, it was still necessary to scare them a little. So. TZ heard his cold voice and felt even more afraid. So I'm here today to receive my punishment. Mr. Gu, please don't stand on ceremony and give me a punishment. Ha. Gu Jingzi didn't say anything but let out a cold snort. TZ was so scared that his body was trembling. Mr. Gu, I'm willing to accept any punishment. Really, I feel very guilty. I feel so guilty that I can't sleep at night. I really don't know how this matter could be so terrible. Gu Jingzi still didn't say anything and just looked in front of him quietly. The more he acted like this, the more TZ felt uneasy. If he really couldn't take it anymore, he would have to kneel down. But Gu Jingzi looked like an emperor, but he didn't think that he was an emperor. After all, this wasn't the past anymore. In modern society, there was no such thing as an emperor or not. Strength was everything. Gu Jingzi looked at TZ and his face turned even paler. It seemed like he was really afraid. He then said lightly, "All right." TZ looked as if he had been pardoned and quickly raised his head. Gu Jingzi said, "It's good that you know. Let's forget about this matter." TZ's legs really turned to jelly in an instant. Gu Jingzi knew that when a person didn't say anything, it would be even more difficult to understand his thoughts. If he couldn't understand his thoughts, he would be even more afraid. Hence, if he didn't say anything, the other party would have already defeated him in their hearts. This was the deterrent force. Gu Jingzi waved his hand. "All right. Yes. Then I won't disturb Mr. Gu anymore." TZ hurriedly left. He felt that if he stayed for another second, he would pee his pants. "Oh right." At this moment, the voice behind him almost made TZ kneel down again. "Mr. Gu, do you have any other orders? How about this, in a few days I want you to come over." What? Gu Jingzi raised his head and looked at TZ. His eyes were still cold, but when he looked at him, his expression was much better than before. Chapter 1035. They didn't know what Gu Jingzi said inside, but when they came out, TZ was finally more relaxed. He wiped his hair and said, "Sai, I was just lucky." "Sko." The manager said, "How was it?" "Sai, don't mention it. Mr. Gu is indeed Mr. Gu. He's really extraordinary and admirable." He quickly packed up and the group left the place. Lin Che saw that there were no more attacks on the internet. After the attacks stopped, Gu Jingzi also told people not to refresh the news in case someone really went to the concert that day. Just then Gu Jingzi came back. Seeing that Lin Che was at home, he walked over and said, "How were you today?" Lin Che was in a bad mood because her morning sickness was getting worse. In addition, there were a lot of things on the internet these few days. There were always people scolding her and she was affected by it. Gu Jingzi would come home early every day to accompany her, chat with her and cook with her. Lin Che would make chicken soup noodles and some simple cat's ears. Lin Che wouldn't vomit after eating them. She didn't know if it was because Gu Jingzi's cooking was really good, or if she really liked eating Gu Jingzi's cooking. Gu Jingzi looked good when he was cooking. Moreover, when he was cooking, his serious expression made people unable to get tired of looking at it. Therefore she was in a good mood when she saw it. Thinking that it was Gu Jingzi who made it, she felt even happier and ate more. However, Gu Jingzi didn't plan to do anything today. He just pulled Lin Che up and said, "Let's go out and eat today." "Okay, what are we eating?" She was worried. She couldn't seem to eat anything. "Let's go outside first. We'll discuss what to eat later." Gu Jingzi pulled her to change her clothes. Because she didn't need to work, Lin Che usually only had some basic skincare products and didn't use other cosmetics. When she went out, she would wear some simple and loose clothes. However, Lin Che had a good figure. Although she was pregnant, it didn't seem to affect her figure at all. Other than her waist being a little rounder, there was no difference in other parts of her body. Therefore, Lin Che didn't look sloppy in the slightest when she went out in loose clothes. Instead, it made her slender figure appear even more slender, making people feel that she was very attractive. The servants couldn't help but sigh. Their mistress was really beautiful. A beautiful person was beautiful in everything she wore. Even if she didn't dress up much because she was pregnant, she was still a great beauty. However, Lin Che knew that it had something to do with her body not gaining weight easily. It also had something to do with these clothes. Although these clothes were loose, they were all top-notch from various big brands. It wasn't unreasonable for them to be so expensive. No matter how she wore them, they would have a sense of fashion and design. They weren't shapeless like ordinary clothes. Lin Che dressed casually and followed Gu Jingze out. She saw that they had entered a nice restaurant. She thought that Gu Jingze might want to take her out to relax, so she didn't care where they were. However, he didn't expect to find that there was no one inside. She suddenly turned around. "Ah, Gu Jingze, you booked the entire restaurant." Gu Jingze pulled her in. "Come in first. There's no need to spend so much." She wondered if her recent bad mood had really affected Gu Jingze. Was that why he suddenly cared about her and even booked the entire restaurant to take her out for a meal? She felt that it was time for her to adjust her mood so that the people around her wouldn't worry about her. After sitting down, Lin Che saw that some snacks were served first. The juice and drinks were also prepared. She was still wondering why the snacks were served first and not the food first. Suddenly, she heard a sound from beside her. Lin Che was stunned. She frowned and looked over. She saw a huge stage in the empty space in front of the restaurant suddenly moving over. She was stunned. At this moment, the music suddenly started. The familiar prelude made Lin Che's eyes widen. Then she saw that TZ had appeared on the stage. He sat behind the piano and played the piano affectionately. Along with the music, he looked at the microphone in front of him and smiled slightly. He looked down and started singing. "You have a slight smile and there's even a hint of tenderness. You're my medicine, I'm hopeless." This popular love song from back then was sung by TZ. At such a close distance, his voice sounded even better. Lin Che looked at him in surprise and immediately covered her mouth. "Oh my God!" Gu Jingze saw that she was so excited that she looked like she was about to cry. He immediately wanted to pull a long face, but he thought that this was a surprise for her, so he let it go. TZ was playing the piano and singing on the stage. He looked down at Lin Che as if he was singing for her alone. This really made Lin Che feel like she had returned to her childhood. At that time, she really felt satisfied to be able to see TZ once. Moreover, she was now listening to TZ sing in front of her. She covered her face and looked at TZ. Of course, she was very touched because she knew that Gu Jingze had deliberately arranged this. Because she had said that she liked TZ a lot in high school. So now, TZ was singing the most popular songs in high school. In an instant, it made people feel the miracle of time travel. Lin Che knew that this was Gu Jingze's intention. Why was he so good? Lin Che turned around and looked at Gu Jingze. "Gu Jingze," Gu Jingze said, "Yeah, does it sound good?" Lin Che immediately took his hand and said, "It's not as good as your voice." She had learned her lesson. Gu Jingze curled the corner of his lips and smiled. After TZ finished the song, Lin Che immediately stood up. TZ immediately walked down from the piano and bowed. He saw Gu Jingze and Mrs. Gu below and his gaze was fixed. He suddenly felt that Mrs. Gu looked very familiar. Lin Che shouted, "TZ, wow, is it really TZ?" Once she opened her mouth to speak, she looked even more familiar. Wasn't this person Lin Che? Of course Lin Che and TZ knew each other. Even if they had never interacted before, they would still know each other. Moreover, Lin Che was a movie queen. He looked at Lin Che in surprise. Could it be that Lin Che was Mrs. Gu? Couldn't be. This news was way too explosive. If this news was released, it would definitely explode. Oh, Mrs. Gu. TZ almost called her name, but when he saw Gu Jingze at the side, he remembered and quickly corrected himself. Lin Che said, TZ, the title isn't that important. Don't call me Mrs. Lin. I'm your fan. Just call me Lin Che." Really was Lin Che. TZ said embarrassedly, "I'm ashamed. Thank you, Mrs. Gu, for liking my song." Chapter 1036. Lin Che said, "Of course. Who wouldn't like Master TZ's songs?" TZ's face turned red from his words. He knew Lin Che. He wasn't an outsider, but he was also an insider and a heavenly queen. A heavenly queen liked him so much. It felt different from a fan's liking. "I'm so ashamed. I'm so ashamed." TZ felt embarrassed to be liked by someone at the level of a heavenly queen. After all, people in the industry knew some of the unspoken rules in the industry. They also knew that although he was famous, he might not be that good. He said quickly, "Madam, I'm really grateful that you like me. I've liked TZ since I was in high school. I didn't expect to see it one day. That's why I'm so excited. I even went to your concert a few days ago, but I disguised myself and didn't show up. TZ felt even more ashamed when he mentioned this. If I had known that you would go, I would definitely have invited you to the stage. How is that possible? Lin Che said quickly. TZ said, why not? A lot of singers would love to meet a famous star like Madam. Having a famous star attend one's concert would be a big topic. Moreover, it would make the fans feel good and fresh. Letting outsiders see who one's guest was would also give them a lot of face. Especially when Lin Che was so famous. Lin Che said, I went to listen to it myself. I didn't tell anyone. I'll definitely invite Madam next time if there's a chance. Thank you in advance if it's an honor, but I don't think I'll have the chance for the time being. She subconsciously rubbed her stomach and TZ tactfully stopped asking. Gu Jingze was still standing there watching. Seeing how happy Lin Che was, Gu Jingze's feelings were very complicated. Lin Che said, oh right. Don't tell anyone that you saw me here. TZ immediately promised, yes, I know. It was such a big piece of gossip. It was really annoying not to say it, but if it did, it would be courting death. Who would dare to go against Gu Jingze and offend the Gu family? Wouldn't that be courting death? This time he was really lucky. Because Lin Che liked his song, he managed to escape with his life. TZ said, all right, Madam Gu. I have a song specially for the two of you. It's a new song I wrote. Oh, you even gave me a song? Lin Che was even more surprised. TZ smiled. After he went back, he had been thinking of ways to satisfy Mrs. Gu this time, so he had definitely finished the song overnight. Lin Che sat down and listened as TZ returned to the stage. She picked up the microphone and pointed it at Lin Che and Gu Jingze. The music started slowly. It was the typical opening of a TZ song. One could tell that it was a TZ song. However, they had never heard this song before. It was a new song written by TZ. Lingering in your ears, my longing is stronger than gold, I hear it slowly. A classical love song made Lin Che feel as though he had returned to his high school days, the feelings he had for TZ. TZ was so well written. Of course, she didn't know that TZ hadn't written a song properly in a few years. Because of their status, they had everything they needed. They didn't have the drive. They had to write a song this time. If they didn't do it well, they would be done for. Therefore, they really gave it their all. They used more effort than they had in the past few years to write this song to its fullest. After TZ finished singing, Lin Che immediately jumped up and clapped excitedly. Seeing that she was satisfied, TZ felt relaxed. Lin Che wanted to invite TZ to stay for dinner later. How would TZ dare to eat with Gu Jingze? What a joke. He felt that he would have indigestion. Looking at Gu Jingze's gaze, he was already full. Therefore, TZ quickly found an excuse to leave, leaving the restaurant to the two of them. Lin Che was really excited because the last song was really of the standard that TZ had in the past. It had been a long time since he had heard such a new song, and it was specially given to her. Seeing Lin Che so happy, Gu Jingze said disdainfully, isn't he just a singer? Lin Che said, don't you think that the last song for us was really nice? Gu Jingze said. Lin Che looked at him and sighed. You really don't like listening to pop songs? I'll still listen to some classics, he said. Then it's a classic from Country C. I mean songs like, My Loving. She said, Che. Lin Che thought for a moment and felt that Gu Jingze was definitely being petty again. She pulled Gu Jingze up. Feeling that they had finished eating, they might as well go out for a walk. Go. I'll take you to a fun place, she said as she pulled Gu Jingze. Gu Jingze seriously suspected that the place she was going to take him to was definitely not a good place. I don't want to go. You have to go even if you don't want to. Go. I'll take you there. Lin Che laughed mischievously, looking very sly. She pulled him out until they were outside and in the car. She said directly, do you know the Legend KTV over there? Gu Jingze looked over. What are you doing, Lin Che? Lin Che smiled. I'm going to give it a try. You mean the kind of place where people hold the microphone and think they're celebrities and sing all the time? I'm not going. Gu Jingze knew that she was going to a bad place with such a sly expression on her face. But he didn't expect that he would be taken to a KTV. He didn't want to go to such a low-class place. Lin Che laughed mischievously. I want you to experience it, Gu Jingze. Look, you've never brought me there before. I'll get someone to set up one when we get home. So boring at home. It's dirty and messy. That's the atmosphere I want. You'll know when you go in with me. It's actually very fun. It doesn't matter how bad the singing is. Gu Jingze rolled his eyes at her. It seems like a suitable place for you. You can go by yourself. Lin Che looked at him tenderly. So you're saying that I should go by myself? I'll go by myself. Humph, there are so many people coming and going. If I bump into them. Gu Jingze glared at her. Lin Che had already pulled Gu Jingze up. Come on, let's go in and give it a try. Don't be afraid. I won't force you to sing even if your singing is bad. Lin Che got someone to park the car and pulled Gu Jingze out. There weren't many people in the KTV at this time. Gu Jingze's people went to get a private room and the two of them went in. Gu Jingze looked at the room in disdain. He thought that there were many people sitting in it and that it might receive another batch of customers before it was disinfected. He felt that it was really dirty. Lin Che said, "What are you doing?" Gu Jingze said, "Why don't we go to a club? I know there's no. Let's experience it. We can do whatever we want here and we don't have to care about anything. That's what fun is. It's not like a club. It looks so glamorous and you don't dare to touch anything." Chapter 1037. Gu Jingze looked at her speechlessly. She said, "That's enough. Being exposed to germs is good for your immune system." Lin Che sat down at the karaoke counter. Just then Gu Jingze's men brought in some fruit juice and fruit platters. Outside, his men stopped the waiters from sending the food in. They were the ones who were responsible for bringing the food in. The waiters outside looked inside curiously from time to time, wondering why there were so many bodyguards guarding outside and not letting people in, wondering what kind of big shot had appeared. However, they could only see the silhouette of the person and nothing else. They could only see a man and a woman sitting inside. They seemed to be tall and beautiful, but they couldn't see who they were. Lin Che had already ordered an old song. She held the microphone and looked at Gu Jingze. She coughed dryly and said, "You have to know that I don't show off my voice easily. Do you know how much they usually pay me to sing?" Gu Jingze looked at her speechlessly. Lin Che said, "You're in luck today. I'll sing a classic song for you soon. Teasy's Love You to the End. Listen carefully." The song started very soon. Lin Che saw it and immediately started singing. "Love You to the End, Never Leave You Forever." This heartwarming song was also very popular. However, Lin Che's voice was really. Gu Jingze couldn't help but frown. She was out of tune too much, causing a good song to sound like a tug of war. Lin Che naturally knew that his singing wasn't good, but who would come to a KTV and think that they had to sing well? Was this the place to vent their emotions? Thus he didn't care if it was good or not and just started singing. Outside, although the waiters always heard this kind of singing, they were curious today and didn't expect to hear such an awful song. She immediately wanted to laugh, but before she could, she saw the cold and threatening face of the bodyguard beside her. She immediately held back her laughter. Forget it. She was rich, so it wasn't a problem if she sang badly. Everyone quickly went back inside and stopped talking about the awful song. Gu Jingze was listening inside. He rubbed his ears and looked at Lin Che speechlessly. Lin Che, on the other hand, was singing very happily. He kept shouting until his voice was hoarse. At the end of the song, her cheeks were red. She panted and styled herself. She looked at Gu Jingze and said, come on. Give it a try." Gu Jingze refused. "I don't want to." "Don't be so stubborn. Come quickly." "I said I don't want it." "Oh no, I must come." Lin Che tugged at his arm, looked at him and said, "Is your singing so terrible that you don't want me to hear it?" Gu Jingze raised his eyebrows. "Whatever you think. Hee, it'll definitely be an ugly death. It's all right, don't worry, I won't discriminate against you." With that voice of hers, she had the cheek to say that she didn't discriminate against others? Gu Jingze tapped her forehead. "You're getting more and more shameless." "I practiced with you," Lin Che said. He snorted. "I don't think so. You seem to have been like this since a long time ago." "Yeah, you knew it long ago. Isn't it a little too late to say it now?" Lin Che shook his arm, urging him to sing. "Hurry up and sing. Sing, Gu Jingze." Indeed, she had been thick-skinned from the beginning. However, at that time she was still mindful of their identities and thought that it was only a cooperative relationship, so it wasn't too bad. Even so, she would still act shamelessly in front of him. Now that he thought about it, he didn't know what gave her the courage to act shamelessly in front of Gu Jingze. However, if it wasn't for the fact that she really had the guts to do so, they might not have fallen for it so quickly. He wouldn't have felt that she was so special, unique, and deeply rooted in his heart. Lin Che said coquettishly, "I haven't heard you sing before, hubby." Gu Jingze was defeated by her. He couldn't help but look at this mother of two who had nothing better to do but act like a child. Gu Jingze sighed. Seeing that he had loosened his grip, Lin Che immediately stuffed the microphone into his hand. "What song do you want to sing? I'll sing it for you." Yesterday, it was a classic English song by the Beatles. Lin Che had heard it before, so he found it immediately. The music started. Lin Che leaned against the side, clasped his hands together and looked at Gu Jingze. Gu Jingze looked to the front. Yesterday my troubles seemed far away. The moment his voice came out, it was like a silk thread that had already hooked people's hearts. His voice was originally deep. The original version of the song was considered high-pitched, but his deep voice was like the low hum of a cello with a slight tremor. It was vicissitudes of life, but it didn't seem obscene. It made people feel that he was a gentleman who had experienced time, silently talking about his past. Yesterday everything had already left. This kind of voice was really pleasant to listen to, and it made people's hearts tremble. No wonder people said that pleasant music could cause people to resonate with it, and a pleasant voice could also make people pregnant. This voice really could make people pregnant after listening to it for a long time. Lin Che forgot to blink and just looked in Gu Jingze's direction. He was sitting there, his body slightly leaning forward, holding the microphone and focused on the subtitles in front of him. His eyes were a little hazy, and in the dim room they seemed even more profound, like stars in the distant sky, emitting light in the dark night. Lin Che looked at him deeply, and her heart was really intoxicated. Was it a kind of disease to be enchanted by her own husband for no reason? But this was how she was. She would often stare at him in a daze, thinking that he was a painting, a perfect comic character. Standing in front of her without saying anything, it already made her feel very happy. As long as she was with him, she wouldn't feel bored at all, even if she did nothing. Just looking at him quietly was already a great satisfaction. And now even his voice was so intoxicating. His singing was too good to listen to. Lin Che was speechless. Why was it that some people were so smart, so good-looking, so rich, so good figure, and now even singing so well? Wasn't this too unfair? At this moment the people outside had just been crushed by the sound of the seesaw, and suddenly hearing such an English song, they were a little surprised. Some people even asked, "Is this a vowel?" Others said, "Of course it's not a vowel." They had all heard the original singer, a very delicate voice, and this was obviously a lot deeper. If it wasn't the original singer, it was too good to listen to. Chapter 1038. There were also people who were singing here. When they passed by and heard this voice, they couldn't help but look in curiously. They wanted to know who could sing such a good English song. Indeed, Lin Che also realized that his English song was really good. This song was originally sung in the English accent, and Gu Jingze's English accent was especially authentic, so this song was really full of charm. Lin Che watched for a long time. When he finished singing, he put down the microphone. He turned around and saw that Lin Che was still looking at her. He looked like he was infatuated with her chin, as if he was about to drool. Gu Jingze pursed his lips and smiled. He leaned over and pinched her lips. "What are you doing? Are you in a daze?" Lin Che blushed. "No way." Gu Jingze liked this coquettish look of hers. Especially now that he didn't know if it was because she was pregnant, this kind of womanly look was even more charming. It was so soft that it made one's heart feel light. Especially when he liked her infatuated look and she was infatuated with him, it was even more adorable. His hand caressed her cheek and looked at her delicate face. Lin Che reached out and caressed his hand. His other hand reached out to touch his face. His face was exquisite and smooth. There was a little green stubble under it, but it was clean and tidy. It felt very comfortable to touch. When one's hand touched his rough face, there was a strong feeling of touching the opposite sex. This man's body seemed to be just right everywhere. Whether it was his muscles, collarbone, the length of his fingers, or the light stubble on his face, they were just right to show his masculinity, but it didn't make people feel that it was too much. He looked sexy and gentlemanly. He didn't feel like a muscular man at all. It made people feel that his figure was very good. It was very comfortable to touch and look at. She didn't know if he was made according to God's perfect template, or if God was made according to the template of the man she wanted the most in her heart. The gujingza that was made was just right to touch the softest string in her heart. It was really amazing. If she said this to someone else, they would definitely say, "Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. You like him, so everything about him is good." Perhaps, but she felt that she was still not tired of looking at him after so long. Seemed like she really liked him. Being touched by her, Gujingza felt her warmth and closed his eyes in enjoyment. Being touched by her gently, he felt even more itchy. Although he was worried that he couldn't help it, he had never dared to be intimate with her. Now that she was teasing him in front of him, he couldn't help it. He stroked her cheek and gently kissed her lips. He didn't dare to exert any force, nor did he dare to immerse himself in it. He opened his eyes to look at her smooth cheeks, which were glowing in front of his eyes. He sighed, and after kissing her for a while, he let go of her. When she got better, he would definitely not let her off. Lin Che's lips were wet from the kiss. He licked his lips, lowered his head and smiled. She was like a naive little girl who was so happy after being kissed. Gu Jingze held the microphone and asked, "Are you still going to sing?" Lin Che hurriedly shook his head. No. After hearing Gu Jingze sing, it would be strange if she could continue singing. Originally, it was just a sudden idea to bring Gu Jingze to have some fun. Now that she had experienced his beautiful voice, which was also an absolute strength when it came to singing, she felt that it was enough for her. She felt that Gu Jingze was a treasure that could never be fully excavated. He would always surprise her in various ways. This time he knew one more thing. That was, his voice was absolutely mesmerizing when used to sing. The two of them left the KTV. The people at the KTV thought it was very strange. This couple came in noisily and left after singing 2 songs. However, rich people knew how to have fun. It was very normal for them to come to the KTV just to sing a few songs. Just as Lin Che and Gu Jingze went out, Gu Jingze received a call from home, saying that the old master had woken up. These few days, Gu Xiande had been slowly recovering on his own. This time he had finally accumulated enough strength to wake up. Lin Che also sighed. Indeed, there was a limit to one's life. The old master could be considered a tenacious person. Lin Che was also gratified to be able to wake up. Although she didn't like the old master, it wasn't good to want him to die for no reason. She and the old master didn't like each other, so there wasn't any deep hatred between them. Since Gu Jingze had received the news, he naturally had to go back to the Gu family to get it done. Lin Che then returned home. When she reached home, she scrolled through Weibo like a rascal and realized that TZ had followed her. She hurriedly followed them and found out that there was a new trend in her WeChat moments. It was Qin Qing. Qin Qing posted 2 birthday scenes. Seemed like it was his birthday. She couldn't see the person clearly, but she could see that there were a lot of people there. She looked at it and didn't reply. She hadn't heard from Qin Qing for a long time. Now that she saw that he seemed to be doing well, Lin Che felt quite gratified. She liked it below the post. Anyway, everyone had seen the news of her coming back to China on TV. Seeing her suddenly appear, Qin Qing probably wouldn't be surprised. When she was free, she would post some of her WeChat moments. Now that she didn't dare to show off, she would only post things like food, daily necessities, scenery and some movie news. It wouldn't be good if she showed off too much and people found out that she was staying at the Gu residence. Unexpectedly, Qin Qing saw that she liked it and immediately sent her a message. "Lin Che, you're here." Lin Che said, "Yeah, happy birthday." "Thank you." Qin Qing then said, "I saw that you won the Best Actress award. Congratulations." "Thank you." Qin Qing said, "Come and play when you have time. Your classmates miss you very much." Lin Che said, "Let's talk about it when we have the chance." Thinking back to when he first saw Qin Qing's words, his heart would pound. Now it was all a trap. Lin Che didn't ask if he was doing well now, but it shouldn't be bad. After greeting Qin Qing, Lin Che put down her phone. On Gu Jingze's side, Gu Xiande had indeed woken up. After he woke up, Gu Jingze still hadn't arrived. The clan members had already gone over first. Gu Xiande estimated that he only had a few days left. He seemed to be at his limit after being rescued this time. Something happened again in a while, he might not be able to make it through. Thus the clan members were even more anxious. They wanted Gu Jing's mistress to be settled as soon as possible. The clan members looked at Gu Xianda as they wiped their tears and said, "If old master is really gone, we don't want to live anymore. Old master, you're lucky to have survived this calamity. You'll definitely be blessed in the future. Old master is the pillar of the family. Now that you're back, we have hope again." Gu Xianda sighed as he looked at the few of them. He still couldn't speak clearly and could only say in a hoarse voice, "All right, stop crying. Yes, yes, yes. This is a happy occasion. What are you crying about?" The clan members stood up and turned around to call out, "Hey Mingqi, come and kowtow to old master and pour him some tea." Chapter 1039. Behind the crowd, Xue Mingqi walked over with a smile. She was holding a cup of ginseng soup in her hand, which was placed in a porcelain white cup. It was steaming and looked very lovely. The clan members immediately praised her. "Oh look, Mingqi has already thought about it. Do you still need someone to remind you? Everything is ready. Come over." Gu Xianda squinted at Xue Mingqi. Xue Mingqi said, "Grandpa, I haven't been back in a long time. You're not feeling well, but I'll accompany you more in the future." Gu Xianda looked at her and said to the people beside him, "So this is Mingqi." "Yes, yes. This is the Mingqi that we always mention to you," the clan members said excitedly. Gu Xianda naturally knew what this meant. They had mentioned this Xue Mingqi more than once or twice. This meant that their clan members had already elected this Xue Mingqi to be their mistress. However, they needed the support of Gu Xianda, the elder in the family. Gu Xianda knew that Lin Che was indeed not made to be a mistress, and he didn't want her to be one. He still needed to observe Xue Mingqi before him, and he couldn't say whether she was suitable or not. When Gu Jingzi came, everyone calmed down. This time, Gu Xianda had survived again and the Gu family finally relaxed a lot. Gu Jingzi wanted to come back early every day because Lin Che was pregnant, and he wanted to spend more time with her. But sometimes business trips were unavoidable. He had to go out on business and he didn't want to go too far. How could Lin Che agree? She didn't want to be a burden to him. She said, "If you can't go, I can go with you." Gu Jingzi disagreed. "It's too far. It's so tiring for you to take the plane. What if something happens to you?" Lin Che said, "Then you can go by yourself first. I won't be going out for a few days anyway. I can tell the company that we're going to shoot a short comedy together. Now that the novel has been chosen, other work has to start. I'm very busy too, and even if you stay at home, you won't be able to accompany me." Gu Jingzi had no choice but to kiss her forehead. "Okay then. Bring more people with you when you go out." "I'm fine." "I know, but I'm worried." Even if he knew that nothing would go wrong, he would be there to help her in any danger. However, no matter how well prepared he was, he would still worry. What should he do? Hearing his words, Lin Che's heart softened and he kissed his lips. It had been a long time since they were so intimate in front of the servants, so she felt a little embarrassed. Although the servant was already used to it, she still blushed. Gu Jingzi smiled and patted her on the head before leaving the room. Lin Che was about to go to the company when he heard Mu Firen's call. "Lin Che, are you busy?" "Oh, nothing. What's wrong, Firen?" Lin Che said while walking. "I've read your novel. I think it's very interesting. I've decided to take the role." "Ah, really?" Hearing that, Lin Che hurriedly said, "But are you sure you wanted to film it? You didn't film it for my sake, right?" "Silly, of course. I've never tried such a role before, so I want to have a try." Lin Che thought for a while and was still a little hesitant. "Although I think it's fun for us to film something we like together, it doesn't fit your previous style. No one will say that I'm spoiling you, right?" "Silly, since I've said that we're going to film something we like, I don't care what others say. Anyway, I like it. Tell me when you've made up your mind." "Okay, I'm going to the company today to talk about it. We've made up our minds. If you're also sure, we can go and discuss it." Mu Firen agreed and they agreed to meet at the company. In the company, Xin Yuran had already arrived a long time ago. Everyone was busy trying to get sponsors and doing public relations. Lin Che greeted Xin Yuran and told her that the female lead would come later. Xin Yuran said, "You've already decided on the female lead in advance. Who is it? Lin Che's studio?" "Of course. Don't let the goodies flow to others," she said with a smile. "Oh, who is it? Who do you think it is?" "How would I know? You'll know when you're here, Lin Che said, keeping her in suspense. After they sat down, Xin Yuran said, I've found 2 screenwriters to have a look. One of them tried it and heard that it's something we're going to film. Many screenwriters came to us on their own, probably because they know that you're famous and unlikely to cheat them. Moreover, since we're going to film it under your name, it's more likely that it'll be released. Therefore many people came to us. However, they are not famous screenwriters. They still think that newcomers like us are unreliable and the film will probably be terrible, so they don't want to accept it. Several famous editors have contacted us and offered many conditions, but it's useless. They keep beating around the bush and refuse us. Lin Che said, I understand their concerns. In that case, we won't force them. We don't expect the scriptwriter to be a big shot. We just want to use something that suits us and is similar to what we have in mind. Okay, since you said so, I'll choose from them first. At this time, someone came in. You've arrived. I'm late. The person who came in was Mu Firen. Xin Yuran was stunned. Seeing Mu Firen push the door open and walk in naturally, she was stunned for a moment. Hey, what's wrong? Lin Che stood up and said, Firen, you're here. Come and sit down. We were just talking about the problem of choosing a screenwriter. Then you came. Xin Yuran didn't understand. You are, Lin Che said, this is the female lead. Oh, no way. The female lead is Mu Firen? God, I should tell those famous screenwriters. If they hear that it's Mu Firen, they must be eager to come. Mu Firen said with a smile, forget it. Those screenwriters don't want to come. I haven't acted in a film for several years. It's totally different. How is it different? You're still a big star like the Queen of Heaven. Xin Yuran was still very surprised. It was hard to believe that they would ask Mu Firen to act in their first film. At that time she would definitely receive a lot of attention. Lin Che said, that's why I told you. Isn't she a member of my company? Now Firen has signed with our company. Damn, you're teasing me. Why didn't you say it directly just now? Xin Yuran said. You scared me to death, okay? Lin Che laughed. Well, now you know. I don't know who to choose as the male lead. Chapter 1040. Lin Che looked at Mu Firen and asked, do you have any male stars in mind? No, Mu Firen said. Mu Firen said, those who are still active now are not the same as when I was here, so I'm not sure who can still film now. Lin Che thought for a while and couldn't come up with any ideas, so he asked someone to take the list of actors. There was a list of all the actors who were active, inactive, popular or not, new or old, as well as their photos, representative works and information. After choosing for a long time, they felt a little dazzled. In the end, they decided to filter them out layer by layer and filter out those who didn't fit the role. Because the male lead was the kind of cold and upright straight male lead, they must play the role of a man who looked resolute and couldn't look like a sissy. The female lead should be clever, and this combination would be cute. Moreover, the image of the male lead should be compatible with Mu Firen. In this way, it would be even more difficult to find a suitable actor. Mu Firen was a diva. Although she didn't look strong, there weren't many actors who could suppress her in terms of aura. After looking for a long time, they found a few suitable actors, but they might not be the ones they liked in the end. Lin Che said, then let's wait and see if there are any recommendations or self-recommendations. Anyway, we're not in a hurry. Let's take our time to choose. The 3 of them walked out slowly. Xin Yuran wanted to go home to take care of the child, and so did Lin Che. Mu Firen was going to attend an event. The company offered her an advertisement, and the agency took her to meet the producer to discuss the shooting of the advertisement. Mu Firen's first advertisement after her return was naturally fought over by many people. In the end, all the employees discussed which advertisement best suited her status, her value, and could bring her a positive image. In the end, they chose this mobile phone that was about to be launched. It was not that difficult to shoot a mobile phone advertisement. In the past, Mu Firen wouldn't attend such a gathering to discuss how to shoot the advertisement with others. However, Mu Firen hadn't officially returned, so she was prepared to have a look and get used to this kind of social interaction. At the same time, she wanted to know if there were any new trends or new rules in shooting advertisements. When they arrived, they realized that it was a nightclub. The agent Lin Che appointed for Mu Firen was a newcomer. Although the newcomer was inexperienced, Mu Firen had a lot of experience. Moreover, the newcomer wouldn't order Mu Firen around and could do whatever she wanted. Therefore, after discussing with Mu Firen, They decided to appoint a newcomer as her agent. Xiao Fong looked at Mu Firen. Sister Firen, can we go there? Why are you in a nightclub? Mu Firen said, it's normal. These bosses like to come here to discuss business. Then I don't think Sister Che has been here before. Mu Firen said with a smile. Lin Che almost never socializes, so who would dare to invite her here? Because of Gu Jing's protection, Lin Che had indeed avoided a lot of such social engagements. However, Mu Firen had participated many times in the past, so she didn't think much of it this time. After comforting her agent, she brought Xiao Fong into the room. Fortunately, when the advertiser saw Mu Firen, he immediately walked over politely. Miss Mu, long time no see. Oh. Miss Mu, I haven't seen you for a few years, but you are still so young and beautiful. You haven't changed at all. No, thank you for your compliment. I'm embarrassed. It was the same social engagements. Mu Firen was very familiar with them. The advertiser treated Mu Firen very well, because the first advertisement Mu Firen would do after her comeback would be their advertisement. Knowing the importance of this topic, the advertiser was naturally very polite to Mu Firen, and would never do anything to her. As she thought this was just an ordinary business gathering. Everything was normal. The manager Xiao Fong also felt relieved when he saw this. Outside, many waiters had seen Mu Firen coming in. Those who came into the private room to deliver things also saw Mu Firen. Because Mu Firen rarely showed up, everyone was talking about it. It seemed that Mu Firen was here to talk about work. They wondered if she was really going to make a comeback. Some of the gossip outside was often exposed bit by bit like this. However, at this moment, a man suddenly pushed open the door of the private room and barged in drunkenly. They were stunned when they saw a skinny, pale young man who seemed to have poor living habits walk in. Hey, is Mu Firen here? Everyone stood up at once. Looking at the man, they were still in a daze. When he saw Mu Firen, he showed a drunken and wretched smile. It's really Mu Firen. Hey, look who I met here. Mu Firen saw that he was drunk, so she didn't want to have anything to do with him. However, at this moment, everyone in the room suddenly recognized that this man was a young master from the local military. His family was an arms dealer, so he was usually very arrogant. He often hung out in this nightclub and everyone here knew him. Therefore, everyone knew that they didn't dare to stop him, because he was followed by special forces outside, and they couldn't afford to offend him. He walked towards Mu Firen. Xiao Fong was so scared that he kept muttering, "What should I do? What should I do? What should I do?" Mu Firen looked at him and said, "Sir, you're drunk, right? Do you want someone to send you back?" He looked at Mu Firen, smiled and pounced on her. Mu Firen, hey, come here. Let me see what you look like in real life. I've always seen you on TV and today is the first time I've seen you in real life. Let me touch you and see which one is more comfortable compared to the one on TV. Mu Firen was harassed by his words and she quickly dodged away from the man. Can you be more respectful? The man pounced on her again. The people here couldn't just do nothing, so they hurried to stop him. Young Master Chen, don't do this. You're drunk. If you want to find a woman, there are many beauties here. The man with the surname Chen was immediately furious when he was stopped, and he pushed the people in front of him away furiously. The drunk man was quite strong, mainly because he didn't care about anything, so the strength he exerted was shocking. The man was pushed to the ground by him and he laughed and said, "How dare you stop me? Don't you see how many people are behind me?" Everyone could see that there were people in green uniforms behind him. For a moment they shrank back and didn't dare to fight him head-on. After all, those people were blind, and if they shot at them... Chapter 1041. This time the few of them were frightened by those people. Mu Firen stood up and said, "What are you doing?" That man jumped at her with a grin. Mu Firen dodged him immediately. Xiao Fong, who was behind her, was also frightened. I'm going to make a call." Mu Firen pulled Xiao Fong up and said, "Let's go." Because that man was drunk, he couldn't hit him accurately. Someone was still trying to persuade him, "Young Master Chen, let's talk this out. Don't be like this." However, even though they were trying to persuade him, they didn't dare to come forward. Young Master Chen continued to chase after him while swaying, and his mouth was full of vulgarities. "Oh, little celebrities really know how to play. You're still running. Don't run. Come and let me hug you. Why are you running? Little one, come and let me love you." Mu Firan quickly pushed Xiaofang out and said, "Go and find someone to help." Although Xiaofang was very afraid, he looked at Mu Firan and hesitated for a moment before running away. After he went out, he quickly called the company. Mu Firan was left alone. She turned her head and looked at the man who jumped at her again. Mu Firan slapped the man's face. The man was stunned and became much more clear-headed after being slapped. The people at the side gasped. What was going on? Mu Firan actually hit young Master Chen. Mu Firan was courting death. Miss Mu Yu, the advertisers were also very anxious. They didn't want anything to happen to Mu Firan because if word got out, they would seem inhumane. They just watched her being bullied and didn't help her. However, it was a business cooperation and they weren't close to her. Because she had offended young Master Chen, they felt that it wasn't worth it if she was beaten up for a job. Young Master Chen shook his head and looked at Mu Firan. "You little bitch, how dare you hit me?" Mu Firan said sternly, "Are you sober now? If you're sober then tell me. Don't touch me or I won't be polite to you." Huh. Qin Yi sobered up a little, but he was still angry as he looked at the woman in front of him. Being hit in front of so many people, of course he felt humiliated. With the help of alcohol, he directly scolded Mu Firan, "You haven't been back for so many years. Do you still think you're a goddess? Humph, you're just a has-been woman. How dare you shout in front of me? If you dare to hit me today, I won't spare you even if you kneel down and lick me tomorrow." Mu Firan grunted. "Don't worry. I won't kneel before you even if I die." How arrogant. "Come on you guys, strip her for me." He called out to the people behind him who had been brought here. When the advertisers saw this, they knew that something bad was going to happen. It would not be good for their companies if it got out of hand. Moreover, Mu Firan was a public figure with many loyal fans. If she got angry and posted it, their companies would be scolded. "Hey Qin Yi, don't be angry." The advertiser hurried over and said to Mu Firan, Firan, hurry up and say something nice to young Master Chen. You were drunk just now and you were acting like a spoiled child. You didn't do that on purpose, did you?" Mu Firan snorted coldly. "I won't apologize to this kind of person." When Qin Yi heard this, he became even more furious. "You have to see if you're qualified to apologize." Everyone came to stop them. When the nightclub boss heard that something had happened, he rushed over. The nightclub boss must have been afraid that something bad would happen, so he quickly said to Qin Yi, "Don't be angry. This woman is not sensible. Let me teach her a lesson." The boss of the nightclub hurried over and said to Mu Firan, "Don't be angry. What are you angry about? He's a tycoon and you can't afford to offend him. I know he's going too far, but you're at a disadvantage if you fight him head-on. He definitely dares to strip you here. What good will it do you? A wise man knows better than to fight when the odds are against him. Just apologize first and we'll deal with him when we get out." The nightclub boss didn't think that a celebrity could deal with Qin Yi. He just felt that Mu Firan didn't want to apologize because she had been a diva for many years and was not willing to bow down. He could just give her a way out. Anyway, if she wanted to cause trouble, it would be fine as long as she didn't cause trouble here. Mu Firan looked outside. She knew that she was alone now and it wouldn't be good for her to go head-on with him. She looked at Qin Yi and said, "Okay, I apologize. I shouldn't have hit him." Qin Yi snorted. "You want to apologize now? It's useless." The nightclub owner hurriedly urged, "Look, young Master Chen, give me some face. Everyone is here to have a good time. Don't make things ugly. How about, Miss Mu, you drink this bottle of wine as an apology to young Master Chen. What do you say?" The nightclub boss picked up a bottle of whiskey on the table. If she were to drink a bottle of whiskey, she wondered if she would collapse on the spot. Mu Firan looked at the nightclub boss in surprise. He winked at Mu Firan. If she didn't drink it, she might not be able to leave. Mu Firan gritted her teeth, looked at the person next to her, and then looked at the bottle of whiskey in front of her. The nightclub boss wasn't afraid that she wouldn't drink. Many celebrities had a high tolerance for alcohol because they often went out to socialize and drink with others. However, Mu Firan hadn't been out for many years, so he didn't know if her tolerance for alcohol had deteriorated. Anyway, if she drank well, she would leave. If she didn't drink well, he wouldn't be able to control what would happen if she fell. Qin Ye's eyes lit up when he saw this. He was thinking the same thing. If she fell down, he would pick her up and see if she could deny it. Mu Firan had no choice but to grit her teeth and look forward. "I'll drink." The nightclub boss smiled. He was on Chinye's side. He was a young master with an army behind him, so he couldn't afford to offend him. So it was best that Mu Firen could bow down to him. Mu Firen took the bottle, raised her head and gulped it down without even blinking. Because she knew that if she stopped she might not be able to swallow it. Her throat was burning as she drank it. She looked up, her eyes a little blurry, but she didn't fall down. "I'm sorry. I drank it all as an apology." The manager saw that Chinyi was out of luck, so he quickly said, Okay, this matter is over." Mu Firen walked out just like that. The manager walked over with a smile and said, "Miss Mu, I helped you to the end. Look at those soldiers who came with him. They scared me to death." Mu Firen snorted and went out without saying anything. Of course she knew whether he was helping her or not. As soon as she went out, the people from the company called by Xiaofang immediately came with the police. Chapter 1042. Seeing that Mu Firen had come out, but she didn't seem to be in good spirits, a few people hurried over to support her. "Sister Firen. How are you?" Xiaofang was frightened. "I'm fine. I drank as an apology." "Let's go." Xiaofang said, "So you let him go? He was the one who harassed us." Mu Firen said, "What else can we do? Forget it. Let's not fight with them. We can't afford to offend them." Xiaofang was not convinced, but he could only help Mu Firen go back to rest. Inside, the nightclub owner comforted Mu Firen and said to young Master Chen, "Let's not lower ourselves to her level. She's just average and she's old. It's not fun to play with her. Look, we have a girl who's just 18 or 19 years old. She'll definitely serve young Master Chen well." "Humph. I just wanted to try this little star, but she still messed with me." "Yes. Young Master Chen is rich. If he plays with her, he'll definitely bring her back to the position of a diva. She's blind." "That's right. She's just unlucky." "That's right. Let's play by ourselves. Anyway, she'll vomit when she goes back. She'll regret it." Mu Firen didn't vomit. She just leaned against the wall and rested, feeling a little uncomfortable. She could hold her liquor, but she didn't like to drink and rarely drank recently. That was why she felt so uncomfortable. At this moment, Black Hawk suddenly heard the news. Someone ran to Black Hawk and told him, "Boss, Miss Mu was just bullied." "Bullied? What do you mean?" "A gangster named Young Master Chen from B City tried to bully Miss Mu. The nightclub owner made Miss Mu drink a bottle of whiskey before letting her go." "What?" Black Hawk sat up from his chair. He clenched his fists and the blue veins on them became more obvious. Now there was someone who dared to bully his people, right? What Young Master Chen? How dare he call himself Young Master here? That's what everyone calls him. I think he's in the arms business and has a bunch of mercenaries at home." "Mercenaries?" Black Hawk threw the glass in his hand onto the ground. "Call your men. Mercenaries? Let me see how powerful they are." That night, Young Master Chen was accompanied by the owner of the nightclub. He was drinking and having fun with 5 or 6 girls. While he was having fun, someone suddenly ran in and said, "Oh no, there are a lot of people outside. They say they're here to cause trouble." "What?" The owner of the nightclub stood up. "What's the matter? Are you trying to wreck the place?" "I don't know." The one with the surname Chen stood up and slammed the table. "I'm still playing here and someone dares to cause trouble?" The nightclub boss saw this and thought, "Yes, there's a young master here." He immediately gathered his courage and quickly seized the opportunity to say, "That's right. How dare you come here to cause trouble? Don't you know who's here?" Young Master Chen drank a few cups of horse piss and was very high. "Gather my people. Whoever dares to come in, beat them out. Fight." The person who came in rubbed his hands and said, "They basically came with an army. Look at how many people they have, how many cars they have. The only thing missing is a tank." "What?" The few of them found it hard to believe. However, there was already a loud bang outside. Then there were screams. They immediately felt that something was wrong and hurriedly went out to take a look. When they got outside, they saw that there were indeed people causing trouble. A few people had already rushed in and were smashing everything they saw. The nightclub boss panicked. "Io, what are you doing?" He had thought that there were only these few people, but unexpectedly, there was a continuous stream of people coming in. The person who had just gone in to report didn't lie or exaggerate. The people really rushed in like a black mass. The original customers hurriedly ran out without a care for anything else. The people who came in didn't hit anyone. They just smashed everything they saw and touched regardless of what it was. Young Master Chen was just about to come out when he saw this scene at the door. He was also shocked. The nightclub boss was shocked. Which ancestor had he offended? How did this happen? However, before he could react, there were already people smashing things everywhere. "Oh, don't smash. Can't we talk this out?" The nightclub boss really wanted to cry. But the people were already smashing in front of him. The people inside hurriedly ran out. When they got outside, they saw that there were still circles of people guarding outside. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that an army was here. How could it be like this? The nightclub boss really cried. He wiped his tears and said, "Can you first tell me who I offended?" That night, the nightclub seemed to have been torn down and smashed to pieces. Young Master Chen had already run away when he saw that something was wrong. Unfortunately, he couldn't run far. The monk could run, but the temple couldn't. Before he reached the place, he was caught and beaten up. It wasn't a light beating. He was beaten directly to the hospital and almost lost his manhood. This time the news spread in an instant. It was said that this nightclub was blind and bullied a little girl at night. In the end, the nightclub was smashed to pieces and the person was chased away. Only later did they find out that it was the woman who had offended Black Eagle. Wasn't he looking for death? Naturally, everyone laughed at him and said that he was blind. He was still laughing and thinking that he had taken the opportunity to curry favor with young Master Chen. In the end, he had offended someone more powerful and the nightclub was gone. When they heard that it was Black Eagle, it was understandable. Black Eagle had always been like this. After all, they thought that young Master Chen was powerful enough. They didn't expect that an inconspicuous star couldn't be offended so easily. One had to leave a way out for themselves. Otherwise, who knew who they had offended? The nightclub boss had already cried himself to death at home. Who knew that something like this would happen? In just one night, the nightclub was smashed to pieces. Mu Firen naturally hadn't heard about this at home. Just as she was resting at home, she saw Black Eagle come in. As soon as he entered, he saw Mu Firen. He walked over and asked, "How are you?" Mu Firen was a little confused. She looked up and said, "Ah, you're here." "I'm fine. How did you know?" "You're fine?" Black Eagle didn't look good when he saw her expression. He stared at her and saw that she was still in a trance. Without saying anything, he picked her up first. You. Mu Firen cried out, "What are you doing? Go inside and rest first. I'll get you some water to sober up. It's not good for your health." Mu Firen's body suddenly leaped into the air as she looked at him lightly. She didn't know if it was because she was drunk, but she felt warmer when she looked at him. Chapter 1043. She thought that his nose was nice and straight, but it wasn't the kind of nose that some celebrities had. The top part of his nose wasn't very outstanding, but the bottom part of his nose was very masculine. His mouth was always in a straight line. It looked very smooth, but it didn't look unnatural. She felt that the power in his body seemed to be natural, making people feel that he was a man. It gave her a great sense of security. Soon they arrived at the bedroom. He put her on the bed and went to the bathroom to get a towel to wipe her face. Mu Firen blushed a little and avoided his gaze. She felt the warmth of the towel. It left a moist feeling as if he was touching her, and it made her heart skip a beat. Just then, his men came in quickly and brought him a bowl of soup to quench his thirst. He said, "Drink some. It's good for your stomach. Otherwise, it will hurt your stomach if you drink so much." Mu Firen looked at him in surprise. "How did you know what happened today?" Black Eagle looked at her. "Next time you encounter something, just tell them my name. Don't be so silly and drink it." Mu Firen couldn't help but chuckle at his overbearing words. Then she looked at him and said, "If I tell them your name, will they say that I'm bragging?" Black Eagle thought for a moment. "Then you can call me right away." Mu Firen wasn't that shameless. They had just known each other for a short time, but she was already so dependent on him. How could she trouble him for everything? He helped her up and said, "Drink it first." Then she raised her head and he fed her a mouthful of the soup. Mu Firen looked at him and murmured. She seemed to have become a lot bolder after drinking the wine. "Thank you for helping me." Black Eagle looked at her and smiled. "It's nothing." Mu Firen looked at him. Then do you take care of every woman you meet like this? Black Eagle looked up and said as he held the things in his hands, how do I take care of them? Take care of them so carefully. Black Eagle laughed. Oh. Then why are you so careful with me? Mu-Firen's heart was pounding. On one hand he felt that he was too bold. After all, this was Haiying. How could he talk to him like this and question him like a spoiled child? On the other hand, he was looking forward to his answer. Black Eagle smiled but didn't say anything, causing Mu-Firen to feel anxious. Mu-Firen blinked her eyes and looked at him. But slowly his heart that had just started to boil also cooled down. He had to be crazy to ask that. She was the one who had crossed the line. He might not have any thoughts, but after being asked by her he was so embarrassed that he did not want to answer any questions. Just as she was about to lower her head, she suddenly felt a figure moving forward. The person in front of her moved and was already in front of her. Mu-Firen blinked her eyes and saw his face magnified in front of her. She looked at him quietly and her heart froze for a moment. When the Black Hawk came closer, its eyes seemed even calmer, but there was a deep yearning in its eyes that made people unable to resist looking into it. What answer do you want? Mu-Firen could almost hear her own heartbeat. Thump, 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 thump. Each beat was more intense than the last. The Black Hawk's face moved closer and his breath was heavy in front of her. No, he said. What? Mu-Firen didn't understand. I've never taken care of another woman like this, he said. Mu-Firen was stunned. He smiled. Are you satisfied with this answer? Mu-Firen's cheeks were burning and became even redder. He smiled and looked at her lips. Do you still want to ask me why I take care of you like this? Mu-Firen was embarrassed and felt ashamed. It was as if he knew all the tricks. The Black Hawk slowly moved closer to her, and the corners of his lips were already close to hers. What he meant was self-evident. Mu-Firen was stunned and looked at his increasingly gentle eyes blankly. She felt that she had never thought that the Black Hawk would show such eyes. His eyes were like flowing water, attracting people's attention. They couldn't help but stop where they were, allowing his lips to directly press against hers. Mu-Firen was about to explode. She wondered what she was doing. Why was she kissing him like this? This was the Black Hawk. Why was she kissing the Black Hawk? But his lips were too attractive. Every time they touched, she couldn't help but feel like fireworks were going off in her head. It was as if she didn't know what she was doing, but her body instinctively made her cooperate with his movements. Even when they stopped, her head was still empty. The Black Hawk smiled, but his expression seemed to be normal. He just gently covered her with the quilt. Have a good sleep. Call me if you feel uncomfortable. I'll go and see Yunyun. He was really dizzy. She felt that she had just recovered from the alcohol. In the evening, Lin Che heard about it from the people in the company. She immediately sent someone to ask the advertising company what was going on. They said that the advertising company was making excuses. Lin Che was so angry that he directly called them. Lin Che had worked with them before, so they didn't dare to refuse his call. Lin Che immediately said, "Is this how you treat my artist when I hand her over to you?" The advertising company looked aggrieved. "We really know we were wrong, but haven't they been punished?" "What punishment?" Lin Che asked. The advertising company said, "Didn't they say that the Black Hawk brought his men to tear down the nightclub? We didn't know that Mu-Firen was related to the Black Hawk. Oh, they are so regretful now. How did they offend Mu-Firen? They thought that young Master Chen had some connections, but in the end Mu-Firen went back and got his men to tear down the nightclub." The Black Hawk. This was something that the Black Hawk could do. Lin Che held his forehead. "Forget it. Let's not talk about this for now. Let me think about it. But you can't deny that what you did was wrong. Alright, our company will not work with you anymore. Also, I will announce what you did in the industry. Let's see how many artists are willing to risk their lives for a company that doesn't care about the lives of their artists." With that, Lin Che hung up. The other party was also helpless and regretful. But they had already offended them, so there was nothing they could do. Lin Che didn't expect that the Black Hawk was too high profile. However, it was good that the Black Hawk was so protective of Mu-Firen. Lin Che just felt that the Black Hawk was too impulsive. He actually went to tear down someone else's nightclub. She wouldn't have thought of such a thing even if she was beaten to death. Chapter 1044. Gu Jingze wasn't home and Lin Che didn't have anything to do. Then the kindergarten informed them of the parent-teacher conference. Since Gu Jingze wasn't home, Lin Che had to attend. There were naturally more parents at the parent-teacher conference. Lin Che's attendance would definitely cause some trouble, but she didn't want the other parents to be there. So Lin Che had to go. On the day of the parent-teacher conference, the kindergarten was well prepared. Lin Che wore a pair of sunglasses and put on her clothes. She only asked Dongzi and the others to follow her. She didn't bring too many people with her so that she wouldn't attract too much attention. There were flower baskets filled with balloons and ribbons outside the kindergarten. It was said that the children had prepared a lot of programs. They were treating the parent-teacher conference as an acceptance ceremony. Of course, such a good kindergarten would definitely want the parents to see some results so that they would know that the school fees weren't for nothing. Because it was one of the top kindergartens in B City, the students and parents here were all rich and powerful. However, even the rich and powerful people were mixed in with the honest folks. It seemed that there were all kinds of people here. When Lin Che arrived, the receptionist saw her and hurried over. "Mama Nian, you're here." Lin Che nodded and said, "Can you find me a more secluded place?" Of course. Please come in." The principal knew that her family was powerful and the teachers didn't dare to offend her. They knew that she was a public figure and wouldn't attend such events if she could avoid it. She was here today for the sake of the children. The kindergarten had a confidentiality agreement. They wouldn't reveal any information that wasn't allowed to be revealed. Otherwise, the kindergarten wouldn't be so big. Lin Che was settled in a quiet corner. She quickly got someone to look for Nian Nian and tell him that she was here so that he could come and take a look. However, the person said that she couldn't find Nian Nian. She heard from the other children that Nian Nian ran away when she heard that there was a parent-teacher conference. She probably didn't want to attend it and went into hiding. It wasn't like this happened every year. Children didn't like parent-teacher conferences, especially those who were mischievous. It wasn't that Nian Nian didn't want to attend it, but he didn't know why his mother was here. He thought that since his father was here he wouldn't care about what the teachers said. But now that his mother was here he felt melancholy. There were many things that he didn't want Lin Che to know. For example, he didn't attend classes properly and was obsessed with training. Another example was his domineering behavior in school. In any case, once Lin Che found out, he would definitely teach him a lesson. After all, Lin Che was Nian Nian's mother. How could she not know what Nian Nian was thinking? Dongzi came back and said that he couldn't find the young master. Lin Che snorted and said, "Forget it. He probably caused trouble again and doesn't dare to see me." Lin Che thought that he would have to ask his teacher about Nian Nian's studies later. At this moment there were more and more people here. As Lin Che wanted to keep a low profile, he stayed in the corner. He heard two people sitting beside him. Seemed like they were mothers. Both of them were in their 30s. They seemed to have specially dressed up. They sat down and started chatting. One of them said, "Look, it's pretty big here, Tsai-Tsai's mom." Then Tsai-Tsai's mother said, "Yeah, of course it's big. It's such an expensive tuition fee. How can we not do it properly? After all, this is a noble school. Of course it's different. Yeah, we have to choose the best school for our children. That's why I said that no matter how much money we have to spend, we have to go to the best school from a young age. Look at those lousy schools. Not only do the teachers beat their children, but the food is also so bad. The quality of the teachers is also bad. A good school produces a different kind of child." Lin Che shook his head. He felt that these parents were really, even though this place was good, it wasn't as bad as other schools. Lin Che felt that a school should focus on its atmosphere. As long as the learning atmosphere was good and the environment was positive, then it would be a good school. However, a few parents were still expressing their feelings that they couldn't let their children lose at the starting line. They kept saying, "Look at our child. What is he learning here? Then look at our neighbor. He insisted on going to the public kindergarten, saying that it's good there. In the end, he can't even compare to our Kai Kai. Yeah, our child is the same. He's really smart and the things he learns are really classy. Hey, look at us. Our Kai Kai is preparing. Their teacher likes him a lot and asked him to perform today. Oh, your Kai Kai is really promising." Lin Che couldn't take it anymore and was about to stop listening to them on his phone. However, at that moment he heard the girl start talking about Nian Nian. "I heard that there's a kid called Gu Xinian here who bullies other kids every day. Your child hasn't been bullied before, right?" "What? Gushinian bullied other kids every day? Lin Che's eyes widened. It couldn't be that exaggerated, right? Even though Nian Nian was a little overbearing, he shouldn't be that bad. Another person said, really? I haven't heard our child mention that. Saicai's mother said, I asked. They said that there's a kid like that who is lawless in school. Even the teachers are afraid of him. I'm really worried that our child will be bullied by him. Even the teachers are afraid of him. Is he that scary? Is his family very powerful? Yeah, I heard that they're quite rich. This kind of student. What should we do? Why does the school accept any student for money? It's unfair to the other students. What kind of influence does he have? Does his family not care if he does bad things in school? His family is a little rich, so they spoil him and don't care about anything. What kind of upbringing does he have to learn to be a bully at school at such a young age? His family probably got rich overnight. He doesn't know anything and doesn't have any self-restraint. Lin Che was furious when she heard that. She had heard too many slanderous words. She couldn't stand it when Nian Nian was slandered like this. How much did she know? She said it as though it was true. How could Nian Nian not have any upbringing? Nian Nian was so sensible. Another person heard that and asked, which child are you talking about? Why haven't I seen him? I'd like to see how rich this family is. Even the teachers are afraid of him. I haven't seen his parents either. Are they so arrogant that they won't even attend the parent-teacher conference? Of course not. This kind of person doesn't even care about his child. Why would he attend a parent-teacher conference? He just throws his child into school and throws some money. Then he won't care about his life or death. Chapter 1045. That's right, that's right. A child who grew up in such a family can't be anything good. He's definitely a good-for-nothing playboy. The child has been so violent since he was young. His parents must be fierce too. That's right. How fierce must the mother be at home to raise the child to be so fierce? He's so young and he's already committing school violence. These people were really getting more and more ridiculous. Lin Che took a deep breath. He couldn't take it anymore and stood up from the corner. What you're saying isn't right. The few of them were stunned. They didn't expect someone to be beside them. Because they were busy chatting, they didn't even notice that there was someone sitting in the corner. When they heard the voice, they raised their head. Seeing the person standing in front of them, the few mothers couldn't help but size her up. Who was this? Although the few mothers dressed up neatly because they were coming for the parent-teacher conference, they dressed up nicely and put on makeup. But in front of Lin Che it wasn't enough. One of them liked to dress up and looked very clean, but she dressed up herself. After all, she wasn't very professional. Needless to say, the other fat mother didn't dress up at all. Today, because her child was begging her to dress up nicely, otherwise her classmates would look down on her. Nowadays, children love to compare themselves with each other. They would compare themselves to see whose mother was more beautiful and whose mother was more fashionable. She couldn't win against her child, so she spoiled her child too much. She didn't tell her that this was wrong, so she just promised her child that she would dress up well. So when she came here, she also dressed up a little. Unfortunately, she was tricked by someone and her makeup looked like bridal makeup, so she didn't look good. These two were the women who didn't talk much. Saicai's mother was the most talkative one. Saicai's mother was very fashionable. She dressed up very well. She wore mink cashmere and carried a bag worth more than $10,000. Her hair was big and wavy. She wore high heels and a thick layer of powder on her face. But even so, it couldn't hide the wrinkles on her face. Because this was her second child, she wanted to take good care of her face, but it was tiring to take care of a child. She liked to play mahjong when she had nothing to do and stayed up late every day. How could she not age quickly? The other one was just an ordinary housewife. She stayed at home every day and waited for her husband to earn money from his business to support the family. Although her life was comfortable, she didn't like to tidy up after staying at home for a long time. When Lin Che stood up, everyone started to size him up. Was this someone's mother? But she didn't look like one at all. Because Lin Che had made some changes to his appearance, his eyes didn't look like his original appearance. He was also wearing a hat, sunglasses and a wig. Although he still looked delicate and pretty, he looked different from the Lin Che on TV. He looked very similar, but it gave people a sense of familiarity. They weren't sure if it was Lin Che. Of course, the few mothers didn't think of Lin Che. They just looked at Lin Che curiously. Who was this woman? What's wrong? What are you doing? Sai-Sai's mother said. Lin Che looked at the woman who had just been chattering and swearing. Have you ever been sure that what your child said is true? Did you just believe him? Then you talked about another child that you've never met before in such a bad way? So it was because of this. The few of them looked at this woman who suddenly came out to defend others. Seeing her like this, they didn't expect her to be a mother who came to the parent-teacher conference. They said, "You're here to be nosy. What do you know? Of course a youngster like you wouldn't understand the concerns of us mothers." Another mother quickly said, "That's right. Do you know what it means to spoil a whole pot of porridge? It's because of this kind of child that we're even more worried about our children being affected. It's not your child who's living in an environment with school violence. What if our child is bullied by this child? We're just too worried, that's why we said that." Lin Che looked at the few of them, feeling that they didn't understand at all. Get this straight. I'm just asking you, how can you be so sure that there's school violence here? How can you be so sure that the child your child said is a bad child? Have you seen that child? Have you seen his house? Do you understand this? You're just spouting nonsense. Don't you think that spreading false rumors is a form of harm to that child? Sai-Sai's mother glared at her and said, "Are you a teacher here?" Lin Che said, "No." "Then why are you poking your nose into other people's business?" Lin Che looked at the few of them, crossed his arms and said, "What did you say just now? What's wrong with that child? His family definitely won't care about him and no one will come to the parent-teacher conference. He's been so violent since he was young, so his family must be vicious, right? I've never thought that our family is vicious. Our family will definitely come to the parent-teacher conference. We treat our children more seriously than anyone else, so we definitely won't allow anyone to speak ill of our children." Their child. Did this woman mean that the child was hers? Just now, the few of them were speaking ill of her child in front of his mother. Suddenly, the atmosphere was a little awkward, but the few of them really didn't think that this woman was the child's mother. 3 of them didn't know what to say for a moment, but Sai-Sai's mother suddenly stood up again. First, she looked at Lin Che viciously, snorted and said arrogantly, "What's wrong? We're talking about your child. Don't you know what your child has done? Bullying other people's children, is that very reasonable? So what if we say it? Don't you know what your child has done?" Lin Che looked at her. "What evidence do you have? Just say that my child has bullied others." "What evidence? How many people know about your child? It's not like I'm making things up. My child said it clearly. Your child is a tyrant, bullying other people's children, and even chasing other people's children out of school. You should know about this, right?" Of course, Lin Che knew about this, but it wasn't like what they said at all. Lin Che said, "Do you even know about it? You're just spouting nonsense. My child said it. Didn't you verify the words of a child? A child's words carry no harm and are honest." Chapter 1046. Lin Che chuckled and looked at the woman in front of him mockingly. Seeing that Lin Che was speechless, Sai-Sai's mother mocked him even more. "Looking at you, you must be young and have never taken care of a child. Let me tell you, you're not even responsible for your own child. You don't even care about it and only care about being young and pretty. I despise this kind of mother the most." Sai-Sai's mother felt that the woman in front of her was annoying. She was a mother, but she was still so beautiful. At first glance, she couldn't tell that she was the mother of a child. She looked like a university graduate who just graduated. She didn't look like a mother at all. This kind of mother was definitely an irresponsible mother. Lin Che said, "I know everything my child has done and I trust my Nian Nian. I know that he is definitely not that kind of person. The first thing a mother should do is to understand and trust her child. I trust him and understand him, so I will definitely not allow anyone to slander him." "Do you think we believe you just because you say so? You believe him but we don't." "That's right. We just don't believe him." Sai-Sai's mother, "Don't talk to this kind of person." Lin Che narrowed his eyes. Just then, he saw that the teacher had realized something was wrong and had already rushed over. Moms. The teacher hurriedly protected Lin Che. She knew that this was not someone to be trifled with. "Nian Nian's mother, what's going on?" Lin Che said, "Teacher, they said that my Nian Nian acts like a tyrant here. I want to ask if that's the case." The teacher hurriedly said, How can that be? Nian Nian is very obedient and smart in school. He doesn't act like a tyrant at all. When the parents saw that the teacher was so afraid of her, they felt disdain. What kind of teacher was this? They were usually very polite to the teacher. During the holidays, they would even think of ways to give the teacher some red packets. However, the teacher might not accept them. Wasn't that how children were in school? The parents would coax the teachers to treat their children better. Usually these teachers were very arrogant when they were with them. Why were they so polite when they were here? The parents were unconvinced and disheartened at the same time. Lin Che said, "Really?" Lin Che also knew that Nian Nian's identity was special and the teacher might not dare to say anything to him. However, Lin Che did believe that Nian Nian had a sense of propriety. In the eyes of the students, Qin Yan has always been a hero. I'm not bragging. He has a lot of charisma and has the demeanor of a leader since he was young. Everyone loves to revolve around him. Moreover, he's so smart and learns so fast. He knows more than the teachers. He's really a rare genius. Hearing the teacher praise the child to the skies, the parents were even more incredulous. There was no such thing as a genius child. It was impossible to boast that he was a child prodigy. She was definitely flattering him on purpose. Lin Che said, "That's not important. If you want to learn how to do things, you have to learn how to be a person first. I've been teaching Nian Nian this and I believe that Nian Nian is definitely not like what they say." Yes, Nian Nian's mother, sit here, come over here. The teacher felt that it was still dangerous for Lin Che to sit here. It was better for her to go to a safer place. Therefore he invited Lin Che to the lounge first. A few of the parents sat there and began to speak ill of Lin Che without the slightest scruple. She looks like she's a mother. That's right. She probably uses this time to dress herself up. She probably married a rich husband with her looks. Even the teacher is sucking up to her. The teacher here is too snobbish. That's right. The teacher is sucking up to her. It must be fake. How can a child be so amazing? As the parents were talking, the activity had already begun. The children went on stage together and began to perform the choreographed programs. Lin Che was watching at the side. Although the children's programs were childish, they were all her children, so everyone was very happy to watch. Lin Che didn't see Gu Xinian. Instead she said to Dongzi, "Go and find Nian Nian. You must find her for me." No matter what, she had to ask Nian Nian in person how he was doing in school and why he was avoiding her today. Dongzi heard the order and left. At the same time, the secret guard had already told Nian Nian what had happened. "Young master, madam came over just now. She even had an argument with another baby's mother." What? Gu Xinian frowned and asked someone to explain in detail. Gu Xinian narrowed his eyes. There was actually such a thing. After a while, a game started on the stage outside. The game was an intellectual game. Kai Kai was Tsaitsai's mother's child, so Kai Kai was one of them. Although Tsaitsai's performance was normal, Tsaitsai's mother was very happy to see her child's performance. The others quickly complimented Kai Kai, saying that she was really amazing. In such a big kindergarten with so many amazing children performing, their children couldn't even get on stage. However, the teacher suddenly received a message from Gu Xinian. Gu Xinian said directly, "Teacher, I want to perform." If it was someone else, the teacher would probably tell them not to cause trouble here and go elsewhere. However, seeing that it was Gu Xinian, she did not say that. Instead, she asked Gu Xinian, "Little Nian Nian, what are you going to perform? But you didn't tell us beforehand. What should we do?" "Because I didn't know that my mother was coming. Now that my mother is here, I want to give her a surprise. I hope that you can help me fulfill this wish." The teacher was in a difficult position. She didn't dare to make the decision herself, so she quickly asked the principal. The principal thought for a moment and nodded in agreement. He waved his hand helplessly and said, "Let him do it." The teacher quickly replied to Nian Nian saying, "Okay, I support you. Tell me, what are you going to perform?" Gu Xinian was actually so cute. Just sitting there made people feel that he was pleasing to the eye. He didn't need to perform anything and he was already quite good-looking. Of course the teacher liked him. However, because his family was too rich, she didn't dare to offend him, so she didn't dare to get too close to him. However, they didn't remember Gu Xinian mentioning that he had any talents. Initially, they wanted him to perform because it would be a waste for such a good-looking child to not perform. However, he rejected all of them and didn't perform. Now that he suddenly said that he wanted to perform, the teacher was very happy. However, she felt that he shouldn't just come directly without any preparation. Would he mess it up? He said, I can perform book shorthand. As long as I've read a book, I can memorize it after reading it once. What? Gu Xinian said, come on, I can be ready anytime. His IQ was very high. At the same time, he had inherited Gu Jing's natural memory and had a very strong memory. Naturally, he knew from a young age that he could remember things much faster than others. However, she heard Gu Xinian take a look and say, okay, sure. The teacher looked at him suspiciously. She went down to take the book from Tsai-Tsai's mother. Seeing the complicated program in the book, the teacher felt her scalp go numb. However, Gu Xinian only curled the corner of his lips. He had already read such a book before. He flipped a random page and scanned it for a while. Then he passed it to Tsai-Tsai's mother and said, I've read it. Listen. Tsai-Tsai's mother harumphed. She took the book and read it. Gu Xinian only smiled slightly. Then he began to recite it. He was able to spit out those complicated formulas very fluently. Tsai-Tsai's mother was surprised at first. Then she felt her scalp go numb. Was there really such a thing as a genius child in this world? However, how was it possible? She really couldn't believe it. However, the truth before her eyes was indeed a slap to her face. She stood there in a daze as she looked ahead. Just then Gu Xinian, who was on the stage, smiled and said, Thank you, Mom, for coming to my parent-teacher conference today. I didn't want to perform at first, so I'll perform for you at the last minute. I hope you like it. Below the stage, Gu Xinian had already unknowingly captured the hearts of a large number of mothers. Oh my God, this was practically someone else's child. So cute, so handsome, so smart, so genius. Lin Che was also extremely touched. Did Nian Nian perform for her? Lin Che really didn't expect Nian Nian to be so attentive at such a young age. She quickly ran down amidst the gasps. Looking in Nian Nian's direction, she said emotionally, Nian Nian. Gu Xinian looked up. Mom, you're here. Lin Che ran over and hugged Gu Xinian. Nian Nian, Mom, thank you. You're so attentive, so smart, and you performed well, but... Lin Che looked at him. Since when did you read so many books? Gu Xinian was speechless. Lin Che was also surprised. How much of Gu Xinian's little brain had been developed? Gu Xinian said, Mom, I'm done. I can't breathe with you hugging me. Lin Che was really too excited. Hugging Gu Xinian, she kissed him hard again. The people below all looked at the beautiful mother and baby enviously. No wonder the baby was so beautiful. If the mother was so beautiful, the baby's genes wouldn't be bad. Lin Che brought Gu Xinian down the stage and the people below started clapping. Lin Che really felt that Nian Nian was happier and prouder than him winning the Golden Award for Best Female Lead. The parent-teacher conference ended in a wave of jubilation. All the parents left with their children. When Lin Che brought Gu Xinian out, he saw Tsai-Tsai's mother with her child. Lin Che pulled Gu Xinian and walked over from the side. Looking at the mother and son, one big and one small, standing in the middle of these people as if they were the focus of attention, Tsai-Tsai's mother had a strange expression on her face. Chapter 1048. Tsai-Tsai's mother looked at the other person and then at her own child, feeling angry. She harumphed and said to her child, Look at how the child can already read. Every time I teach you, you always make excuses. Look at how clean the child's clothes are and look at your clothes. You change them every day but they're still so dirty. Kai Kai looked aggrieved and muttered, Look at how pretty his mother is. What did you say? Tsai-Tsai's mother looked pale. Say it again. Wah, I didn't say anything. Kai Kai was so shocked that she burst into tears, attracting a lot of attention. However, Lin Che had already left with Gu Xinian, not thinking about anything else. When they got into the car, Lin Che immediately looked at Gu Xinian and asked, Mommy hasn't asked you yet. When did you learn how to read? Gu Xinian said, I just learned it not long ago. You can read now? Isn't it just knowing some simple words and deducing other words in passing? It's almost the same as English. Just knowing simple words and deducing other extended meanings. Was this even possible? She didn't even know this. Of course, she was too embarrassed to say that she didn't know herself. Lin Che said, You do. You basically know everyone now? Yeah. What's with the computer program? I like it better. Lin Che looked at the child and wondered. Were the Gu family's genes so powerful? She was suddenly very unconvinced, but at the same time she was very surprised. She thought that this was too amazing. Could it be that Gu Jingze was like this when he was young? Was Gu Jingze this amazing now? She thought about it and felt that it made sense. She had never seen anything that Gu Jingze couldn't do. Perhaps it was because he had such a powerful brain that he could learn so many things. After Lin Che settled Nian Nian down, she received a notice from her family that they needed her to go back to the house and prepare a banquet to celebrate old Master Gu's recovery. Gu Jingze was out on official business, so she had to go back alone. But Lin Che felt uneasy about preparing a banquet when Gu Jingze wasn't around. She sat there and thought for a moment before telling Dongzi, "Have everyone follow us and pay attention to the old house. If anything goes wrong, we'll leave first." Dongzi nodded, knowing that she meant for all the bodyguards and Gu Jingze's right-hand men to follow. Lin Che thought for a moment before saying, "Tell the people here to be on standby too. If anything happens to us, we'll be able to help." "Yes, Mississippi," Dongzi said. "Is Miss worried about something?" "Now that I'm pregnant with a child, I have to think more about the child," Lin Che said. "If it were me, then everything would be fine. Even if something happens, I can bear it a little more. But now my body is not good. If there's a problem with the child, it'll be too late for regrets." It was said that a mother would be stronger, and it was true. When she was alone, it didn't matter what happened and she didn't need to think too much. However, since she became a mother, she immediately became much smarter when she encountered problems related to her child. Lin Che packed up and hurried to the old house. At this time the old house was ready. Lin Che was still in the car. Hearing Yu Minmin's words, she was about to go. Because Gu Jingze wasn't there, Gu Jingming asked Yu Minmin to accompany Lin Che. Lin Che was very grateful that Gu Jingming was still thinking about Lin Che at this time. The brotherhood between him and Gu Jingze was actually more than what others thought. This kind of friendship was really hard to come by. After Yu Minmin met up with Lin Che, she got into Lin Che's car and went to the old house together. Everyone sat in the car together. Yu Minmin said, "Do you know that Xuemingqi today? Do you want to bring someone with you?" Of course, Lin Che didn't know. "Bring someone with me?" Yu Minmin said, "It seems that you don't have any news. But they won't give you any news. They definitely don't want you to know about Xuemingqi." "Yeah. Now everyone knows that Xuemingqi is going to fight with me for the position of mistress." Yu Minmin said, "Yeah, but they still don't dare to provoke you too much. After all, you're pregnant now. They're worried that if you get provoked too much, Gu Jingze will definitely fight them to the death." "Then what kind of trouble has Xuemingqi come up with this time? What does she want to do? I heard that she brought a boyfriend here. She said that she's going to settle down in the country." Lin Che said, "What does that mean? Does she mean that she's not going to go abroad?" "Yeah. She said that she's going to settle down and settle down. That way she can be the mistress. And in order to prove her innocence, her husband will choose someone who has some money but will definitely not be able to go against the Gu family." Lin Che said, "Then is she going to bring someone over today?" "That's right. She brought someone over and said that she wanted everyone to help take a look. But what's there to see? She just wants everyone to see if the person is qualified. Alright, I'm very curious as to how these people managed to accomplish this. The process seems to be very complicated." "Yeah. It's definitely complicated when it comes to rich families. Not to mention a rich family like the Gu family." Lin Che also knew that it would be more complicated, but this was the first time she had personally participated in something like this. Seeing these people doing all kinds of tricks in the dark, fighting openly and covertly to fight for a position that she felt wasn't that important, she didn't know what kind of thoughts she had in her heart. She felt that it was a little strange, but she also felt that the responsibility was very heavy. It was as if her little actions could affect the fate of many people. This feeling wasn't like acting as a person on television, but real fate in real life. On the other side, Gu family mansion. Everyone already knew that Xuemingqi was going to bring a boyfriend back. They didn't know what kind of person this boyfriend was, but the person that Xuemingqi had chosen should be fine. "I heard that he's a little young. But it's easier to control him when he's young. Doesn't that mean that he's very mature?" "Yeah. His family isn't bad either. His family has been developing well these few years. His family started out doing engineering, but now it's become a construction company. This child is only in his 20s, but he's already the CEO of the company. He can support an entire company by himself. He should be a good young talent. You'll know when you see him today. While everyone was praising him, they saw that the car had already been led to the parking lot of the Gu family mansion's outer courtyard. Chapter 1049. The Gu family had 2 parking lots. After the family drove in, there would be an underground parking lot. Outsiders would get permission to park outside. There were many luxury cars in the parking lot. If it wasn't a luxury car, they would be too embarrassed to park. The new Bentley came to a stop. The person who got out of the car exclaimed, "Wow, so this is the Gu family mansion. So big. Ching, you have to go in and perform well. Don't make a mistake." The person who came was Ching. He got out of the car and looked inside. He said to the 2 of them, "All right, Dad, Mom, I'm here. Mingqi only asked me to come today. You guys don't have to go in." I know. Mother Qin was a little unhappy. She felt that Xue Mingqi was looking down on their family. She only asked Qing to come and she didn't ask them to go in and take a look. Unfortunately, Xue Mingqi was a member of the Gu family. They couldn't say anything. The Gu family had many rules. They could only listen to Xue Mingqi. Qing met Xue Mingqi when he was studying abroad. Although she was older than him, Xue Mingqi knew how to conduct herself. Qing learned a lot from her. When he came back, he found out that Xue Mingqi was also a member of the Gu family. This made the Qin family extremely happy. They didn't think that their son would be so successful. The people he knew were more powerful than the other. If they were to get married in the future, he would be a relative of the Gu family. He would have to look down on everyone. It would be good for the Qin family's business, development, and Qing. Qing had indeed grown well over the years. She had already gained the recognition of the entire Qin family and became the absolute leader of the Qin family. She was in charge of all the Qin family matters, big or small. Under her leadership, the Qin family had developed rapidly. Now they were about to become a first-tier wealthy family. They were all very proud of their son. After getting out of the car, the few of them looked at the magnificent place and were amazed. It was a pity that they couldn't go in. But it didn't matter. They would be able to go in one day. Wow, look at all the luxury cars here. Luckily he drove a Bentley. It's not too bad, Mother Qin said. Of course, a car that can park here can't be bad. Our house is actually not bad. Qing, don't be too stingy when you go in. Qing looked at the time and turned to look at her parents impatiently. I know. You guys can go back. I'm not a child anymore. As Qing spoke, she walked straight inside. Xue Mingqi was still inside. When she saw Qing, she hurried over. Qing, you're finally here. She affectionately held his arm. The appearance of the 2 people's love in the eyes of others is also very envious. He thought to himself that Xue Mingqi was really amazing. She even found such a young man who was a few years younger than him. Xue Mingqi knew that love with Qing was also very important. Every step of the attack this time was very careful and important. Although the family seemed to be united on the surface, they were secretly divided into several factions. She had to be on guard in case someone suddenly appeared out of nowhere and snatched the position that she was about to get. She said to Qing, "In a while you should greet everyone. I'll tell you who you should be close to and who you don't need to bother with. The Gu family is divided into the inner and outer clans. We belong to the outer clans, but the outer clans are larger, so there are benefits to having more people. We also have more supporters, but even the outer clans are divided into different groups." Qing said, "Is the Gu family so complicated?" Xue Mingqi said profoundly, "The Gu family has a lot of tricks up its sleeves. Not just anyone can be the mistress of the house if they want to. If they want to be the mistress of the house, they have to be responsible for a lot of things." Xue Mingqi thought that this was not something that Lin Che could handle. That was why everyone was worried that Lin Che, an actor who didn't know anything, would know how to handle such complicated matters. Xue Mingqi held Qing's arm. When she first met Qing, she fell in love with his clean appearance. The more she looked at him, the more she liked him. She knew that he was a young talent who was so successful and hardworking at such a young age. He was completely different from other hedonistic sons of rich families. She didn't know that Qing's inner drive had been stimulated by Gu Jingze. Qing had always thought that he must be like Gu Jingze. Whatever he could do, he would also do. That was why he worked so hard to achieve his current achievements. Now that he was able to enter the Gu family's old mansion, he looked around and felt angry. He thought that if he could see Gu Jingze, he would let Gu Jingze see what he looked like now. He would let Gu Jingze see that he wasn't useless. As for Lin Che, he still hadn't thought about what it would be like to see her. Xue Mingqi walked in with him intimately. At this moment Lin Che and Yu Minmin had already arrived. The servants outside started to stir. Qin Qing heard a servant say, "Eldest madam and second madam are here." Qin Qing asked curiously, "Who are eldest madam and second madam?" Xue Mingqi raised an eyebrow. "Oh, they're Gu Jingming and Gu Jingze's wives. They're the wives of my two cousins." Qin Qing saw the servants rush out to welcome them. Looked much more grand than when they first came in. Xue Mingqi seemed to know what he was thinking. She said mildly, "They're both pregnant now, so they're naturally popular in the family. That's why the servants are in such a hurry." Qin Qing suddenly said strangely, "What? They're both pregnant?" Then Lin Che. "Yeah, Lin Che is pregnant. Hey, how did you know that Gu Jingze's wife is Lin Che?" Xue Mingqi had just returned from abroad. She really didn't know that Qin Qing and Lin Che knew each other. Qin Qing's mouth moved, but he didn't know how to answer. Xue Mingqi said shyly, "Oh, you've already done your homework. Some of the rich and powerful know about this, but the public doesn't know about it. After all, my cousin likes to keep a low profile, so he wouldn't allow Lin Che to tell outsiders about their relationship. Otherwise, Lin Che's status in the entertainment industry would have skyrocketed. However, she hadn't announced her identity until now. It must be because Gu Jingze didn't like it. It seemed that Lin Che was smart enough not to announce her identity. Otherwise, she would have angered Gu Jingze long ago. Just then Lin Che and Yu Minmin walked in hand. Lin Che's belly was still small, so she supported Yu Minmin with one hand. Behind her, Dongzi looked impartial as he helped her open the curtain in front of the door. The servants hurriedly brought them slippers. At this moment they didn't dare to let Lin Che and Yu Minmin bend down to prevent problems with their bellies. They lowered their heads and helped them change into slippers. Chapter 1050. Qin Qing's eyes lit up the moment she saw Lin Che. Lin Che was still so slender. Even though she was pregnant, her figure did not appear bloated. Her fresh face carried a hint of a smile, but she was no longer the innocent and naive little girl from before. At this moment she looked gentle and elegant, and every move she made carried a bit of a noble aura. It made people feel like she was a white pearl in the water, glowing with a soft light, yet appearing very imposing. He didn't look as irascible as he used to be. Although he was still very lively when he walked, he had an air of superiority about him that made people unconsciously feel inferior. Even though she didn't show any arrogance, her arrogance was already in her bones. That was because the current her was full of confidence and love. She didn't lack attention and she didn't crave for attention and love. She was free to be herself and she didn't need to care about other people's feelings anymore. This made her look like an orchid in an empty valley. She had a serene aura and people could see her from afar. Lin Che wore a long dress and a shawl to cover his belly. Yu Minmin, who was beside him, was dressed more casually. Because his belly was too big, he walked a little crooked. Lin Che supported Yu Minmin. He looked up and saw Xue Mingqi. However, he narrowed his eyes and noticed the person standing beside Xue Mingqi. It was actually Qin Qing. Xue Mingqi had already walked over. She smiled at Lin Che and said, "Big sister-in-law, second sister-in-law, you're here." Lin Che's eyes were still fixed on Qin Qing. Qin Qing was a little different from before. She was still handsome, but her expression was a lot more gloomy. She looked more mature and her face was weathered, but she had the demeanor of a sea. But she still looked like Qin Qing. Xue Mingqi immediately held Qin Qing's arm and said, "Let me introduce you to my boyfriend, Qin Qing. Qin Qing, come and greet her." Qin Qing's eyes paused. She looked at the two and said, "Hello, cousin-in-law." Lin Che felt even worse. Why did it feel weird to hear Qin Qing call her cousin-in-law? But looking at Qin Qing like that, it seemed like she didn't want Lin Che to reveal their relationship. Lin Che's eyes moved. He wasn't as silly as he used to be. He naturally knew how to read people's expressions, so he smiled and said, "Hello." Qin Qing extended his hand and shook it, looking very gentlemanly. Lin Che shook his hand briefly. Xue Mingqi had a smile on her face. She looked at Qin Qing and was very happy. She could tell that Shuemingqi really loved Qing. Lin Che blinked his eyes and didn't say anything. He just looked at the pair and felt a little uncomfortable for a moment. Qing stood there looking like a gentleman. Shuemingqi said, Qing, the house is so big. I'll show you around. Let's not disturb the two sisters-in-law. It's important for them to take care of their babies so they can't walk around too much. Lin Che looked at the two of them and said, You guys do whatever you want, don't worry about us. Shuemingqi smiled and walked away with Qing in her arms. After watching the two of them leave, Yu Minmin looked at Lin Che and said, What the hell was that? She couldn't hold it in anymore. She thought that Shuemingqi's boyfriend, who was rumored to be brought here today, was actually Qing. Wasn't he Lin Che's former classmate and Lin Li's fiancé? Lin Che said, I'm not sure either. But it seems like Qing doesn't want Shuemingqi to know about our relationship. Yu Minmin said speechlessly, I really feel like I'm going to go blind. But Shuemingqi is really amazing. She even managed to hook up with such a young and fresh meat. Lin Che only sighed and said, I haven't contacted Qing in a long time. I just saw him come out for a while ago. I don't know how he's doing now. Yu Minmin said, he should be doing well now. The Qing group is doing very well under his leadership. Recently he's been called a rising star. When he's free he'll go on TV and be mentioned. A lot of people think that he's handsome and capable. They named him and 3 other pretty good guys as the 4 young masters of capital. It's very impressive. Many fangirls are lining up to sleep with him. There was such a thing. Yu Minmin continued, you probably haven't been on his Weibo. Under his Weibo, there are thousands of comments about anything he posts. He's not a celebrity but he's even better than one. Because a lot of netizens like this kind of financial handsome guy. The world was changing too quickly. She didn't notice that Qing already had his own title. Yu Minmin was well taken care of. There were many people inside. Lin Che could see from afar that Qing was being praised. It seemed that everyone was very satisfied with him. Just then Gu Jingze called. He would call her before going to bed every night and the two of them would chat for a while. Today he probably knew that she was coming to the old mansion so he called a lot earlier. Lin Che picked up the phone. Aren't you busy today? Gu Jingze said, Yeah, not really. However, Lin Che could hear that he was typing furiously on the phone. Her heart ached for a moment feeling that he was really working hard. And even though he was so busy he still had to take care of her time. He called her every day and remembered everything she did clearly. He knew that she would be coming to the old mansion today so he specially called her at this time. Lin Che said, If you're busy you can ignore me for now. I'm not busy. I'm just reading some information. Did you go home? Yeah. Did Shuemingqi go home today? Yeah, they told you all about it, Lin Che said. Gu Jingze grunted and stopped typing. He seemed to be leaning against something. Lin Che said, I only found out today that Shuemingqi's boyfriend is actually Qing. Did you know? Oh, someone told me before, Gu Jingze said. One thing Lin Che admired about Gu Jingze was that he seemed to have a well-thought-out plan for everything. No matter when, he seemed to know everything like the back of his hand. She didn't need to say anything and he already knew everything. She even brought me to the Gu family. It was so awkward when we bumped into each other, Lin Che said. Gu Jingze said, she also wants to prove that she has the ability to compete for the position of mistress. Compete? I'm not the only one she's competing with. Of course not. The clan is divided into a few factions. Her faction is the 3rd faction in the outer clan, led by her father, the Shui family. They do business overseas. Other than her, there's another faction in the outer clan that doesn't like to compete with others. The first faction is the most stable family and shouldn't be a threat to her. The second faction in the inner clan is the one that specifically opposes her in order to snatch the position of mistress. However, they're not as competitive as Shuemingqi because they're from the inner clan. The family is worried that people from the inner clan will fight for this position and become more powerful, which will be detrimental to the whole family. So they usually don't want them to fight for the position of mistress. That you're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.